What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm Celtic Warrior Damon.
Soda.
And I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Boom goes the ice. Guys, welcome to our first show. That's right. This is Wrestling on the Rocks, where every show is our first show because we can't get to our next show till we figure out how to do this, and we haven't done that correctly yet one time. 2 years in, no episodes further. I am at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR the show on Twitter, at Wrestling on the Rocks on Instagram. But you can find all of that out at WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. Clump, you're back.
Yeah. I'm here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I did have a way to weasel my ass out of this one. Yeah.
Clump,
I was going to say,
Go ahead.
people find me on Twitter. I don't have access to my account, but the person who does have access to my account is making great deals selling knockoff Rolexes. So if you want a Rolex spelled with a CKS, hit up Crybaby Clump on Twitter. Kidding.
Hell yeah, dude. Make a buck.
Hell yeah.
Promote.
Mm-hmm.
And back
Did they
as
sell fake
per
burgers?
usual.
They do.
Per usual, our guest on Thursday, resident champion and guest, Amanda. Tell people, hey.
Hey guys, it's Miss Amanda Jane again for my first time. It seems like a bunch of first times. So yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, I feel like showing up on episode 1 is kind of a big deal, you know?
Yeah, it's a really big deal. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But we're not looking for whatever animal it is to look for a shadow. I don't even know.
No, this
Groundhog real.
This show is
Or is
much
that-
more familiar with prairie dogs than groundhogs.
Okay, well, I don't know, but groundhogs, is that really a real animal? Because it looks like a beaver.
It actually isn't. Like we like to like think of them, but they're like griffins or like unicorns. They're just like make believe.
So
Okay,
what the hell is that Puxatawny Phil or whatever?
It's a small man in a suit. It's a little person in a suit is the correct term.
That's
Yeah,
like a
that would be the
hornswoggle.
correct term, yeah.
Yeah.
Much like R2D2. Guys, what's in your glass? Let's go around the table. What's everyone drinking? Clump, what do you got there?
Yeah. I got way too cold Death Wish coffee. I'm brought to you by Death Wish Coffee, which has also provided me with a resting heart rate of 140 today.
Hell yes, your Apple Watch is going insane, I bet.
I've had a few AFib alerts, like, uh-oh.
Oh.
Just constant alarms going off over there. Is it time to take pills or nothing? No, it's my heart again.
The damn coffee.
What are you
Yeah.
doing now?
I've actually seen a few people promote Death Coffee. I think even, I guess I don't want to speak out of turn for other people, but I've seen it on social media a few times. It sounds like a pretty good thing. Sounds like people like it.
It tastes good. It does. You have to kind of wean in and out of it because if you drink it like other coffee, dude, you get headaches. Like it tastes good, but you feel it's a mofo.
Yeah, that's that good coffee withdrawal.
Yeah.
Amanda, what's in your glass? What are you drinking?
Well, of course, me. I have my non-sponsored Sonic slushy BF Cherry with today. Because I want to finish up my Malibu, so I put the rest of my Malibu in here. So
Yeah,
that's what
knock
we
it
have.
out. Yeah, when you're down to that half bottle mark, it feels about time to just finish it up. You don't want like too much lingering around, I feel.
Yeah, I say like 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 is like, I got to drink this because I don't want
Yeah.
it anymore.
Oh, it's going to go
Okay.
bad soon.
Yeah, it's going to go bad. I broke the seal.
I'm having a little bit of proper number 12 Irish whiskey with Brooklyn crafted ginger beer, extra spicy, as is friend of the show Bishop from Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast. He will be joining us again for a watch along, or I should be saying I'm joining them for Elimination Chamber. So we'll talk about that more as we go. Subscribe to them, subscribe to us, and enjoy that show this weekend. Producer, what do you got in your drink?
It is National Wine Day, so I'm over here drinking some Apothic. I think this one is... Oh, shoot. I don't remember which one I got. I normally go for the red blends, but I think this is a Pinot Noir, actually.
Yeah, always ready, always prepared.
It was a noir.
It's National Wine Day. Whine about it already.
Yeah.
Is it?
National Wine
is.
Day. I'm surprised that we didn't blow up Capo Cagna a little bit more. We do enjoy them a lot.
Yeah, but I actually save the capo for like special occasions, since it's the really nice wine in my opinion. It's really tasty.
Yeah. What I like about Capo Cagna is it even says it's not for wine snobs, because they're like, look, we're not like a top shelf wine, but in this house, it's fucking top shelf wine. But Apothic is the everyday wine for us.
Yeah, if it has to be less than $10 to be like my everyday wine.
It's still
I would say
not that
Capo's
bad.
More. Yeah, Capo's not that bad. I mean, if you look at the prices, capocagna.com, if you check out Apothic at your local Walgreens, you'll see that you can find them for not too far apart. But yeah, Capo's our special one. So happy wine day to Capo Cagna.
I mean, as long as it doesn't say Boone's fucking Farm or
Hey!
Thunderbird, it's great wine.
Hey, don't mock Boone's Farm. Boone's Farm is actually still pretty good. It's still pretty good. Okay.
She like stands up and you just hear like a bunch of bottles clink. She's
Like-
like, don't you ever.
Strawberry!
Don't you talk shit about my. What is it talking about?
Don't make me next week get a strawberry fruit slush, and I'll put Strawberry Hill in it. I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I will
Like
do
a
it.
sugary hangover?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be great because it'll be tasty. 'Cause, yeah, I will say this. It does sadden me that Boone's Farm doesn't make all the flavors that they used to when I was a kid. So yeah, but they still Strawberry
I think
Hill.
that's been that's probably, I think that's a point of contention for many folks. A lot of people are constantly talking about how they're missing more flavors of Boone's Farm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What was going on?
Isn't
in the
that for
chat,
like
producer?
legal reasons? Like, didn't they
Yes.
like?
I'm sure it was. MD 2020.
don't know.
We got Justin Time and Leah Moonlight in the chat. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for coming through, Justin and Leah. Cheers.
Hey.
I've spilled on myself. Clump, you missed the last show. The last episode, you weren't here. And so, in your honor, producer...
I don't like this.
Uh-oh.
I am immediately scared.
Upon playback, as we were discovering that my mic hadn't been turned on for the opening 10 minutes, the mic she had in my place was her mic, and you could hear her clicking on the keyboards louder than any other time we've heard keyboards on this show. It was like she mic'd the keyboard. And
Yeah.
I was like, Clump would be so fucking proud right now.
Yeah, you have to look at our last Instagram post. I clipped that bit because in the chat, someone's like, oh, is his mic off? And I said, no, as I type loudly.
Yeah, you hear tick, 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 and you even hear her go like, because her mic was on.
Keeping us on brand.
Yeah,
So
keeping
proud.
on brand. I mean, it was only the first episode, so it wasn't a big deal. Kiro's a little bummed that we were 2 minutes off, but we were 2 minutes off because you guys had so much you wanted to talk about beforehand. You guys were getting amped up, excited for the show as we were talking about what we're going to be talking about, which will be NXT Vengence Day. We're going to be hitting up and the fallout thereof on NXT. Before we get into that, I don't have any news. Did you guys have any news to hit up? Oh, you know what? Let's talk about well, we did have news. We had two things.
Oh, we did? Okay.
I did because I wanted to get you guys'
Why don't we
take
talk
on this.
about this?
Forget it. Here's what we're doing. Before we get into the content of that content, Clump and Amanda, I want to get your guys' take on two things. One of which is I talked about it with Kevlar on Tuesday's show. Eli Drake showed up on Vengence Day.
Yeah.
Now he's going by LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah, talk to me. Yeah. Dummy, yeah. Nothing wrong with any of that. But it had me thinking. Eli Drake was let go by Impact like 2 years ago. And one of the first things he did, well, I guess maybe it wasn't 2 years ago. How long is
Year and a half, maybe.
Double or Nothing? A year and a half, maybe, yeah. So the first place he pops up is at StarCast. I know this because I'm there. I'm like, dude, that Eli Drake just walked in Impact just let him go. He's not supposed to be appearing anywhere right now, right? So he shows up at StarCast. I'm seeing him mingle. Everybody's seeing him mingle with all the EVPs and such. And it's all like, oh, is Eli Drake going to make a move here? Eli Drake did not show up in AEW at any time. He then shows up at NWA. He does what they do with NWA, becomes their tag champ, becomes talk of the town, t-shirt seller. Yeah! You've seen his new t-shirt? Shoes of a champion. Yeah! Love that guy. Love him. But NWA crumbles, becomes nothing. It's a YouTube commercial at this point.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona is probably pissed at the fact that his internet championship might actually just be the NWA world title. Yeah. So made me think, oh shit, Eli Drake and NWA are cutting ties. Where's Eli Drake going to pop up? He was talking to all those guys, all the EVPs in AEW. Do you think he's ready to make that move? He does not show up in AEW. He shows up on NXT. And I was thinking, people are paying attention. This dude was floating around all of their top dudes for a long time. And obviously AEW absorbed I say absorbed as a dick thing to say, but, they took on Eddie Kingston. They took on Ricky Starks. They had Allison Kay show up. They've utilized Thunder Rosa to the max. They started using the NWA World title as one of their own. They're clearly aware of who those talents are, right? Mm-hmm. But still, Eli Drake decided not to go there. He decided to go to NXT. So then it's got me thinking, that's interesting, huh? The other news that we had about some signings, Taya Valkyrie signed with the WWE. Lacey Ryan, who's over in NXT now as Zoe Starks, signed. Priscilla Kelly, Elena Black, who's now Jade Corda or something. Blake Christian. A few names that also popped up. I mean, obviously Ben Carter, MSK. Harlem Bravado is a recent one. Let's see, Millie McKenzie, really young woman, just signed with them. Bronson Reichsteiner, the son of Rick Steiner, was announced as signing with WWE. And same with Parker Boudreaux.
That surprises me.
Right? See, that's it too. Rick Steiner's son. Rick Steiner never had a good relationship with the WWE.
The Steiners don't have a good relationship with anyone, to be fair.
Well, that's true. That's true. But Rick Steiner's kid is coming on with WWE. Didn't even try anybody else. Like, it made me start thinking. And then there's rumors. There's always the rumors. Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith did confirm that he has been in talks with WWE. We don't know what that means or doesn't mean. What kind of leverage that could hold. He does have a Bloodsport match with Moxley coming up here in, was it a month or two? But got me thinking, and I want to know what you guys think. This is a lot of strong women's talent. This is a lot of polished talent not going to AEW. This is also a lot of talent that has been appearing on AEW Dark. Some of them made no appearances at all. Some of them were used regularly. And they all went to NXT. It makes me wonder, and obviously none of us know, but is there there's something to that, right? There's got to be an issue either with AEW not scooping up people fast enough, not utilizing them in ways that they maybe want to be utilizing. Do you think it's strictly a money thing? Do you think AEW just can't offer the money that NXT is offering? And I don't know. What do you guys think? What does this tell you? Because to me, out of all of this, the only new signing I've seen for AEW is Dolph Ziggler's brother. And it's like, yeah, he's fine, but
I don't think they signed him.
You don't even think he was signed? They've just been using him on TV?
No,
Isn't that also a problem?
They signed a few people a few weeks ago.
Yeah, look at Lee Johnson, okay? He wasn't officially signed until recently. Aaron Solo's not officially re-signed.
Yeah.
And, or signed. I think the last signing probably would be, I don't know. I would say maybe Jade Cargill was the last one. I mean, I don't know. It could be, but a lot of them, they're not automatically just hired because you see them. Because I think that Dolph Ziggler's brother is horrible. Well, no offense, nice guy, but no.
I do think he's a little over the top, a little cartoonish myself, a little bit of a caricature. But, he also was selling his ass off for the people he was in the ring with, and that's part of what he needs to do is put those other people over. So I think that his mind's in the right place. I think he did a good job with that, but I agree. I wasn't telling everybody you got to watch this new Ryan Nemeth match.
Well, I know that, but WWE does not want him. I know that. He went
Oh,
like
really?
twice. Yeah, he auditioned twice at the Performance Center, and they said no.
Yeah, they went.
He was
What?
actually going to get. Yeah, he was actually going to get out of wrestling and go the comedy route, but I guess
That's-
not, because now he's
that's
on
funny.
AEW. But I don't know.
Yeah, but see, that also kind of it makes me wonder. There's something wrong with the system at AEW, and that's not to say that AEW's failing, but they aren't succeeding in grabbing some of this talent that you would otherwise think is can't miss. Like, why would anybody let Eli Drake go somewhere else if you could help it at all? Why would anybody let Taya Valkyrie go somewhere else if you could help it at all? And maybe they couldn't help that at all. Taya Valkyrie's obviously married to John Morrison, who's in WWE, so maybe that was just the move they made because of the family thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any of this, but I'm saying that a lot of these people are not giving AEW what looks like a second look.
No.
It's a little weird, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't think that MSK was approached by AEW, which is kind of sad because, you know, I mean, the Bucks have wrestled them before. They've done a really great match. That was a 3-way with the Bucks and them, and when they were LAX, Santana and Ortiz, which was a really great match. But I don't know, that it's really strange. They're still PWG tag team champions. I don't know how that's gonna work, but yeah. So I don't know. And you did forget a signee, Alex Zane, another GCW person. Yeah, Alex Zane. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they're going to put him and Blake Christian together tagging, because they've tagged before.
Who knows?
But again, that's another, you know, really good crop of people. And, you know, the women, I don't know. Obviously Priscilla Kelly, I think, you know, I'm shocked she went to WWE just because of things that she had done before on the indies that were kind of and whatever. But I'm pretty sure, obviously, since she and Darby are getting divorced, even though they're friends, that has to weigh part of it too.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like something's wrong over there, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, as JR says in his stuff all the time, it's either cash or creative. Are they just not offering the money, or are they just not offering the creative? Is it possible that they're not even offering these people actual contracts because they're just not the EVP's best friends? I mean,
yeah,
it's a long time joke of them, they're just hiring their friends, but honest to God, some of those people's backstories is that they are the friends of the Young Bucks. The one guy, Brandon Cutler, they said when he was in there, he hasn't wrestled in 6 years. He gave up his dream of wrestling, but now that the Young Bucks are here at AEW, they've convinced him to come back and give it one more go. And you're like, they found a way to pay one of their friends a bunch of money. Like, that's his backstory. So it's also like not a secret that they are actively trying to get their friends jobs as well. So it just makes you wonder.
You could say that about Kenny Omega and a lot of the Joshi wrestlers that he knows. One's his girlfriend. And, you know, I mean, that you could say that is true. And they are a little slow with signing people. I mean, I think still the last person, you know, sight unseen, who came in to wrestle that didn't have a contract and they signed right away was Ricky. I think that's the last person.
Nick Camarado.
They didn't sign him right away, did they?
Signed him after his, I think, his second match. Well, okay, so if you look on Twitter, he's part of the Nightmare family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does that mean that they're AEW, or does that mean they're something else? Because that's kind of
means that they're training.
That's some bullshit. But
I know, because Aaron Solo's like that too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, he could train some of your people, you know, and same with Nick Camarado.
Yeah.
You know?
It could be, I don't know, to the initial question, I feel like I don't think it's money that's bringing women's talent to WWE over AEW. Because I don't think, you know, in the early 2010s and mid 2000s, before NXT really came up, Impact had a lot more of a stay in women's wrestling. And it wasn't money. I think it's just direction, spotlight, and story. And not just saying but like, if I'm a person looking for a job, just say generally, and I'm looking to Last place it worked. We want to put you here, or we want to. If you see that there's not going to be a consistent long-term strategy there, if you see a lot of people bouncing out, if you see a lot of people not on TV, why would you go there versus the place where you can say, oh wow, this person, they headlined WrestleMania,
Yeah.
and they weren't the only female talent in contention there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chances and possibilities there. I totally get it, and I think it speaks to AEW really, really needs to work on how it books women.
I think how it books women. I think also how it books anybody not the elite. Because when you're in the elite and you're one of the EVPs, it's really easy to say, yeah, the company was built around them because they're the most popular stars we have. But at this point, you're a year and a half, 2 years in. If they're still the most popular stars you have, something's wrong. There's somebody who needs to be also in those same storylines, or at least getting the rub the right way. So I think it's going to start being not a good look when half of your AEW dark indie talents that you're trying to, quote, spotlight, but really starts to look like, hey, you're trying to get content without paying for the talent. They get their, quote, spotlight on your show, and then they're scooped up by NXT, who uses them really well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's going to start being a little obvious. The fact that Eli Drake, dude, didn't seem to give them the time of day is all like that. And that dude's a mega star waiting to blow.
Yeah.
He's got it all. And so the idea that he was like, yeah, no, why, what? No. I mean, and then there's also a lot to be said for the possibility and potential for people just wanting to live their dreams. And growing up as a kid, a lot of these people wanted to be a WWE superstar. So maybe it's just them going back through that. But at the same time, Eli Drake had been through NXT once before and did not go well.
Yeah.
Let's see, producer lady had something she wanted to say real quick.
Oh, I agree with both you and Clump that I think it's a growth, a lack of seeing the growth possibilities, where you have Zoe Starks. I mean, she just got there and she's already on screen. And then you think about Bianca. How long has she been in NXT? And now she won the Rumble. Like there's possibility for growth. And I just, every time I start getting into someone on AEW, a woman, I don't see them go anywhere. I see the talent, I see the potential, and then I just see people that I think are close to the, higher ups, if you will, just stay on TV, and maybe one or two female matches per show per, 2 hours. And it just kind of, it doesn't look great as, for a casual viewer's standpoint.
Yeah.
Well, and producer threw out something that more and more I'm aware of when it comes to AEW is it's not even that it's one or two women's matches in a 2-hour show. It's that it's only one or two at best women's matches in the show. We have no real consistent effort to build up promo stories or anything else. We might get a Britt Baker thing, but even those, and she's really pushed like a motherfucker for them. They don't put her on for these long ass segments that they give to Kenny or the Bucks, where they get multiple segments of the show, or the Inner Circle. They give them like a minute, if that, and that's for like the top of the company. And that's frustrating because, Ember Moon coming back, and yeah, Ember Moon's a big star, but they also held one belt once.
Yeah.
They get these awesome promos and packages. You look at NXT or Xia Li. Xia Li's held no belts, but they're pushing her and they're giving her these moments. And because of her, Casey Catanzaro and the other Caden Carter, they're getting time. And you're growing people. And it's a same 2-hour show, but it's a show that I feel like I spent more time and invested more in than I do a year of AEW.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that AEW needs to take a look at itself and figure out why are people not showing up and try to fix that, because AEW needs to be, because it was for a hot minute there, the cool place to go show up. Dean Ambrose jumps ship, becomes John Moxley, and shows up at AEW. That was big news. It seemed cool. Jericho jumping on in the very beginning was big news. This was a cool young place to be, where you wanted to be, and now you're seeing Shawn Spears disappear from the roster page. You're seeing people show up on their dark and you never see them again. You're seeing champions just kind of disappear. You're seeing a lot of their stuff just end up on their YouTube and not be talked about. And it's getting to a place where it's like, in the past 3 months, WWE has scooped up a lot of really great hot indie talent. And if AEW was the cool, hot place to go, then why did they get none of them? There's a failure there, and I'm not saying that I'm not even saying they're failing on their weekly product. I'm saying they got to figure out why these young, hot talent are not wanting to go there given the opportunity. Is it money or is it creative or what? But they should address that, because they should be having a lot more of these moments. LA Knight showing up on TakeOver also tells me one other thing, dude. A big thing. It tells me there is no ratings war. This is not the Wednesday Night Wars. NXT does not care what AEW is doing on any given Wednesday, because if they did, they wouldn't have debuted LA Knight on a TakeOver pre-show.
Yep.
They'd have done it on a Wednesday, because LA Knight showing up is a change the channel moment. That is anyone who pays attention to the indies or anybody who's seen him is going to say, dude, change the channel. Eli Drake just showed up on NXT. You got to watch it. It's can't miss.
Yeah.
The fact they put it on a preview show of TakeOver on a weekend night when AEW is not even on the air, they don't care. They're doing their own thing. They're doing whatever they want. And,
Well, you nailed it on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You nailed it on it being pre-show, and then it was kind of a weird in the middle segment. When I heard about it, I was like, "Oh shit!" And I was like watching the show, like, "Okay, like it's gonna be at the top of the." No, it's not. Where it's buried in there, and it wasn't even done like when, I remember when EC3 and Ricochet signed, and they had him in the crowd. It was kind of this big moment. They threw it out there, and that's not knocking it. That just kind of shows like, hey, we're cruising. We're doing okay. We can keep going.
Yeah, we're doing things the way we want to do. And I think it was awesome and perfect to give him a microphone, because if you don't know who LA Knight is, all you got to do is hear him and you start to get the feeling. I'm going to hit the chat real quick. I don't know if there's much more you guys want to dig in on that. It was just kind of a conversation I wanted to have with you two, because I know you guys are a little more privy to NJPW and the indies and stuff. But in the chat real quick, Kuro does say that he wants us to have a take on the NXT Evolve, which was semi-announced. I know they're doing some sort of Evolve show, but they did one once before. I think it'll be good. Let's see, Jeremy Borash actually showed up. He's a showrunner on NXT brand now. Why does Jeremy Borash sound so familiar? Who's that?
He
sounds so familiar. Clump, look it up and let me know. Let's see. Side note, who saw the puppy video? That would be Clump and producer.
Oh, yeah.
And Carol says WCW 2.0. They said it when they started. And then Justin says, there never was a ratings war. It only is a war to those that want to view it that way. 100%. But I do think in the beginning, there was a few things you saw that made it seem like, oh, yeah, both shows are trying to get talked about. But at this point, neither show is trying to catch that quarter hour or that top of the hour or those big moment pops. I think AEW thinks they are. When they do things all like winter is coming and then it's Sting, but then they announce Sting every week and it makes no difference. I think the NXT has turned that channel off altogether. It doesn't matter. We'll put LA Knight on when we want to. This is where we like him. They're not, because if you even watch the Monday Night Wars, even any documentary about it, it's all about what was happening head to head. This main event was on the same time as this other main event, and this is where people were watching. You're not seeing any of that now. It's pretty generic. And both shows this past week, they were, what was it? AEW was 7:47 and NXT was, I think, 7:15. So very, very close. I agree with Justin. The ratings war was almost a fantasy collective wrestling fandom booking where it's like, oh my God, it's head to head. But no one gives a shit but us guys. So relax. Oh,
I
Kuro
think
says March
it's-
is going to be NXT Evolve's going to be a permanent weekly show coming with the launch of the WWE Network on Peacock.
Oh,
Well,
look
we're
at
big fans of
Nice.
Peacock.
Look at that. Look at that.
So is NXT
Well-
Evolve going to be the new developmental leading into NXT?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think so.
Go ahead, Amanda.
That's
You had some
where-
things you wanted to say there.
Well, yeah, well, with this whole thing with Evolve now going to be its own show, I think that's kind of cool because that's really going to get that indie vibe. I'm like, oh, Gabe Sapolsky, you kill me, but you got what you wanted, so bravo to you, dude. But the whole thing I think with AEW and why they're why I think that a lot of women would rather go to NXT. You got to look at what they're offering at that performance center as far as training goes.
Yeah.
Because you have, if she's still the head trainer, Sarah Del Rey, who's phenomenal. You've got, obviously Beth is around now. So, and I'm pretty sure Beth is not shy to give, great, feedback or some, mentoring or things like that. But you got to kind of look at what's there and the opportunities. Obviously Taya was going to go wherever her husband is. I mean, and that
Probably.
because they're kind of a duo. I mean, that's what they've been doing for, since they met at Lucha Underground. So that was a given with it. But some of these other people, no, I don't know why you went. Don't know how. Maybe they weren't interested in you. I don't know. But I do know that money used to not be a worry, because I know that they wanted Jake Atlas at AEW.
Mhm.
And I was like, they had the Bucks. I saw the Bucks. This was earlier last year before Jake Atlas signed, and they're like, "What do you think of Atlas?" I'm like, "He's amazing." They go, "Is he money driven or what?" I go, "No, he's gonna go to WWE because that's his dream. You can probably give him all the money in the world, he's not gonna do it." And they did flash money to him too. So
Yeah.
I think it's really not the money. I'm just thinking right now, people see the product, and it's the same shit over and over. Groundhog Day again. So, like, for example,
Oh shit! AEW stole our gimmick, dude. They're on episode 1 still.
oh,
God,
Yeah.
come on.
dun dun dun, cease and
That was-
desist. That's what I'm
was
saying.
not-
Cease and
I'm
desist.
sending them a C&D right now.
Yep,
That was
there
not
you go.
intentional.
Here you go, Tony Khan. No, but look at the Revolution lineup right now that they've put. We have Hangman versus Matt Hardy. Okay, we've got now a ladder match, a triple threat ladder match. It's Cody and Penta and
Scorpio Sky.
Scorpio Sky. What are they fighting for? The TNT Championship. Wait a minute. Hold the phone, because I thought that was going in a different direction, because for months now you've been putting this whole program with Darby Allin and all these different Team Taz people. Brian
Yep.
Cage couldn't cut the mustard.
Who's got
So
the
now-
TNT title?
Darby.
Well, I thought you said that the triple threat was Cody.
Oh, it's for
Penta-
the number one
Or
contender.
the number one contender. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
number one contender.
Okay. I was all like, "Damn, that's rough." They just like book a 3-man tag and don't even put him in there, and the title's up top.
Yeah,
like
no.
it's just there now.
Yeah, no, they're like, too bad. Coffin drop that, buddy. No,
Reach for it, Tiny. Reach for it.
reach, yeah, here, here.
The camera goes up and the belt's hanging there, but he's hanging off of it, holding on, be like, "No, no."
Yes, thumbtacks on the bottoms of his shoes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But no,
exactly. Kicking at people.
but didn't Cody say that he was never going to go after that title again? Or am I mistaken?
If he
He said that about
loses,
the
he's
world title
not.
for sure.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, come on. I don't like.
I know he
This
said about
is a
the world.
weird-
I don't remember if he said it about the TNT title, but
I thought he did, but I don't know.
but
But
technically he's not. Technically he's going for number one contendership, and that's not the same as the title.
well, yeah, but it means that he'll probably get the title back. That's probably what they're going to do. So they're probably
Maybe.
going to do that because they need to do their open challenge again. But you know what? You could have any wrestler do that. I don't know why it's not defended every week. It should
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
and I
Darby should
don't know
definitely be
why.
doing it. It would actually be
Yeah.
helping Darby solidify him as a badass. And instead
Exactly,
he's
and it's not
not.
happening. And then you have the ones that count. Those are your pay-per-view,
Yeah.
matches. But I don't know. I it's kind of weird. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we get now some weird death match. Are we opening the forbidden door now to GCW? But I'm like, why are we having death
Gotcha.
match?
Um,
I don't understand that. See, now it's getting weird. Like they don't have their own. I don't think they really still know what they are, and I don't
Yeah.
think they see the potential of what they could be.
I think they're trying to get their footing. Let's see. Before we get into AEW officially,
Mhm.
let's talk real quick about one other thing I wanted to mention that happened online yesterday, and so it's kind of been on my mind.
Mhm.
WWE on Fox, and I know, Clump, you're not on Twitter, so you might not have seen any of this. Amanda, you may have seen some of it, and
Yeah.
if you guys do or don't have anything to say about it, that's also okay. There's a couple things I just want to say to kind of put out there in the world, and if that's all that it is, then that's all that it is. So if you have anything, obviously, let me know. But what it was ultimately WWE on Fox official account, blue check mark and all, put out one of those graphics like you would see previously where they done them in the past where it was all like, oh, build your perfect Survivor Series team. You have $15 and here's who you can pick from, right?
Yes.
And typically those things were like Macho Man, Mr. Perfect, Hogan, Undertaker, Kane, maybe. It was a lot of like nostalgia acts, you know what I mean? Of like historically people involved in the business. Obviously, like always, Triple H and Ric Flair and HBK were in there, so the argument can be made Triple H may or may not be retired. It's hard to say. But when you look at those things, it was always Survivor Series, build your Survivor Series team, build your War Games team, and that might be some current NXT talent. And the argument is then made of like, yes, they put people different values, $5, $4, $3, $2, and $1. And then the argument can be made that, hey, this isn't a conversation starter because, for one, you get mad that some people are not valued where they should be valued, and vice versa, either being too high or too low in your book or in your mind. But you also are building towards something. You're building a War Games team. So you have to pick 5 people because that's how many people are in a War Games, and it has to be a team of people who will potentially get along in a street fight scenario, right? You wouldn't want to pit 2 people on one team that are consistently in a rivalry without question. You know what I mean? So it makes for those conversation pieces, and I get that. And other sports have done this where they say, hey, build your perfect basketball starting lineup, and it's a whole bunch of people, and it's got Larry Bird and Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley and all those people I've heard of in the 90s. But it's still not typically like Steph Curry and LeBron James, and even if it was, those are sports guys who they're basing their tier level and their value off of in-game statistics. So LeBron James has had this many points and stuff, right? So it's easy to say in sports, this person would be a more valuable pick than someone else because they perform better in-game on game day. They get more points. They get more yards. They make more baskets. They do other things in sports, I imagine. But yesterday, WWE on Fox puts out one that just says you have $15 to build. Was it even build your team?
I think
it was just build your team, but it was like,
Yeah.
but what team? Team for what? It didn't specify. It
Yeah.
didn't say Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say War Games. It just said build your team. And then so here's women, all current roster, all active wrestlers now, placed in a meat market effectively because.
Yeah, actually, it did not say for anything. It just said build your team for $15.
Yeah, $15. Buy as many women as you can. Like, what? It was a little weird already. I saw it and I was like, this is annoying and stupid. But a few people started speaking out about it. Liv Morgan retweeted it and said, this is as bad as the Ryan Satin tier list.
Well, you also have to describe. So it had 5 rows.
Yeah,
and
5 rows, $5, $4, $3, $2, and $1. And they had people on top. And the top row, $5, was all the 4 horsewomen and somebody else. Or was it just 4?
It was the 4
on each row.
horsewomen because there were only 4
Yeah.
per row.
Yeah. So there was that. Carmella wasn't even on it. I don't know if Mickie James was on it.
Second row
No,
was
Mickie James was not on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just had a lot of people who weren't even on it to begin with. It's current roster. A lot of those other ones are nostalgia acts in a... I'll phone up to Kuro says, I'll phone up Ted DiBiase and buy them all. I got you, but this looked more like a meat market. I even when I saw it, I was like, what for? Build a team for what? What am I trying to do? How many people do I need on this team? If it's 4 people in the team or 2 people in the team, that's important to know. I have no idea what's going on here. But Natalya ended up tweeting out she had taken exception to it beyond. Carmelo said, hey, I'm not even on this list. And they tried to make the joke of, oh, you're untouchable. It would break the algorithm. And so then they remade one where it said $15 for all of them. And they just made Carmelo a whole bunch and said, see what it would look like. And she even retweeted and said, look, the lesson here is that maybe we don't tell the WWE universe how they should value women and the talent involved. Natalya puts out this one. I'm gonna read it. And Clump, I feel like you got a few things you're gearing up to say, but bear with me. Bear with me on this one. So Natalya put this out. She says, I've struggled for years to figure out exactly what my worth is, but I won't allow anyone to pick that number for me. As hurtful as seeing this is, I want it to be known that if I ever find myself under all of these wonderful women, it's because I am a pillar and a foundation of what we're doing. So please keep the $1 because anyone who knows anything knows how priceless I am. And she signed it. I was like, good. Put that out there. But here's the other deal. A lot of people were coming at Natty saying that she's being overly sensitive. She's taking herself too seriously. That this is just a game. That this is just the internet stuff. And they're not taking into account this is an official WWE on Fox account. Yes, it's not Vince McMahon behind the Twitter account, but it is effectively WWE on Fox. SmackDown isn't that the show she's on? If I'm not mistaken, that's her boss to a degree. As far as the public image looks like, her boss did this. Not a fan. This wasn't a fan saying, hey, guys, let's build our top sexiest team. This isn't Brad Shepard listing off top 10 asses like an idiot. This was effectively an official account by her company, her employer, saying, you're bottom tier. You're the least valuable of this thing that we do here. And here's somebody like Natalya who's given arguably her entire life to this business and to this company and to every single other person that was on that list. You don't get the 4 horsewomen without Natalya in that locker room. I believe that wholeheartedly.
And you think, sorry, real quick.
Go ahead.
I know that fans think, well, I've been watching since I was a kid. Yeah, but you weren't actually learning while you were a child in the business. You know, you don't have memories of knowing Andre the Giant. You know, you don't have that intimate knowledge the way that someone in the business has. We're fans. We don't know anything. So we don't have to come at, the talent as if their feelings are just, nothing. Yeah, I think that's the thing that really irked me, that saying that someone's feelings are, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Toughen up, honey. Excuse me. She trained in the dungeon. She's a badass. Don't even get that attitude of, well, you just shouldn't be as sensitive. No, she has every right to say, hey, you're disrespecting me, and that's not something I'm going to take. So that's what I thought.
Yeah, 100%. Natalya, I mean, we've been watching since we were kids, and we know so much, but she doesn't know anything else. Her entire life's been wrestling based from the time she was born. The other thing, because I know Clump's chomping at the bit here. I can feel it in my gut. The people had a real suck it up buttercup kind of attitude. And I think that it's really easy to deflect that you were a part of something that could have been hurtful to someone else. And I feel like that when our parents said it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt, a lot of people took that to mean that one of their friends is probably a little bitch about stuff. But that's not what that means. It's okay to say, hey, this was never the intent to make someone feel that way. But it's equally okay, if not more okay, to say, oh, someone got hurt. Was this ridiculous for no reason? Did we do something wrong? But to say that there's nothing to learn here, or to say that having empathy here is the incorrect response, is just as incorrect as it gets. You don't get stories like Bianca and Lana and Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, who all struggled with feelings of feeling less than worth it. All of their stories and all of their documentaries that we continuously talk about being the best ones and shining an eye on mental health don't get there without somebody telling them that they're not worth it and that they don't have value. And it doesn't get there without them having to get to the point where they understand their own worth. So it's not okay to tell Natalya that she does not understand her own worth and that this is just a game. It's how she felt, and that's valid. And we, as fans, can do better and be better and say, oh, that was a fuck up. Yeah, let's move it along because, hey, we shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. And them as a company and as a business could say, oh, we shouldn't have put somebody who's done so much on such a low volume. Because here's the one last thing I'll say before giving it to Clump. All those ones before, all those other sports were based off of in-game statistics. Off of what statistic can you possibly find would Natalya be bottom tier? She holds more records in the company for any single woman than anybody else in the history of the company. She's got more wins on pay-per-view. She's got more one-on-one matches in pay-per-view than any other woman. She's held a shitload of titles. She's done it all. And even if you want to say that they're fake storyline statistics, they're still statistics nonetheless. Even storyline, she's had a hell of a Hall of Fame level career, and to put her down on that bottom level, I'm sure can be absolutely hurtful. Clump, what do you think about all this?
So the first thing when I saw it that immediately came to mind was, and I may be wrong, there may be things that have been like this before, but I don't recall an equivalent of this for men's talent. And that really struck me. I haven't seen a lot of tweets about, hey, build your team. You have this much money to buy the people.
Yeah,
for
not
an innocuous.
Yes. Not without purpose,
exactly.
Not without Survivor Series and
yes, exactly.
Nostalgia. So go ahead.
With some goal. So it becomes very much a callback to the worst parts of WWE, the worst parts of wrestling, the worst parts of how we treat men versus women in our society, where it becomes so if we're just going based on like a generic thing, you really think this is, oh yeah, who's the one that like puffs the camera up when they are right in front of it, like this kind of thing. And that the top ranks were the most basic comparative, like clearly these are the top people. It was bullshit. It totally is.
Personal bias.
Further, what upsets me, and I get the argument here, if somebody's going to argue against it, is, well, it's it's meant to be like fantasy booking for sports. You're correct, 100%. For sports, there's a statistical comparative value there. Steph Curry has X amount of wins, has these numbers versus LeBron James. This is acting, and we don't see these fantastic leagues of fantasy booking for acting. And beyond that, even I personally, and this is just my view, I really struggle with fantasy booking when it comes to the money component, period, because to me it's always felt like a really weird, kind of upsetting thing. It's always felt like a big part of what we're doing here is putting value on lives or value on people. And there's a lot of nasty thoughts that come to mind when you think of that aren't very far from where you're at. It's you can smell the shit from where you're standing, and you don't have to go that far to get to where, oh, we're buying people and we're looking at compare. It's kind of fucked to me. And everything else you said too, there's no comparative reason where Natty would be at the bottom, but I don't think that has any value here at all. I think what this should have been from the beginning is, this is somebody doesn't understand the product, sent out a really fucked up tweet, and the positive is they got shot down by the talent right away, which I think if 20 years ago, 15 years ago, this got thrown out, 10 years ago, it would have been as crass as who is the hottest, and nobody would have said a fucking thing.
Yep.
And that's pretty awesome and amazing. The last
and
thing
it
I
was
going to throw
also multi companies. I'm going to let you say what you want to say. I just want to let you know, though, Matt Cardona also chimed in. Brian Myers chimed in. People from other companies also said, hey, this was an asshole thing to do and an asshole thing to say. Dustin Rhodes tweeted out today, I love you, Natty. Go ahead, keep saying what you're saying, but I wanted you to know that yeah, it's been nice to see this the voicing.
100%, yeah, and it's needed. It can't. A battle needs allies, and that's amazing. But I was going to say that you threw out this looks like it's coming from Vince. Yeah, it looks worse than that to me. It's coming from WWE on Fox. So it's Vince, and it's the, biggest entertainment company in the world. News Corp, or if you want to be, very possibly Disney, because I don't know where it splits there. So one of those two, one of the biggest companies in the world, thought, oh, this is cool. What we see in wrestling is just women in comparison. They wouldn't do this for, any of their own fucking products. They wouldn't say, hey, you have X amount of money to buy female talent for the Masked Singer or the Masked Dancer, just based on appearances. It's really freaking weird that it's specifically to wrestling, and it speaks to what somebody who's not familiar with the product thinks that the product's about, what somebody who's not familiar with the product thinks the fans think of the product. And I'm really happy that we saw people back off on, or back.
Yeah. And they took down the tweet.
Good.
Yeah, they did.
The other thing I'm going to say before we throw it over to Amanda, because I feel that she deserves the floor just as well as everyone else. Kuro did say in the chat, Natalya has also worked for the company longer than almost any other woman as well, and that's an arguable as well. And that's what I mean. She's given more to the company than a lot, strictly by time frame alone, and I don't believe her work ethic has ever been questioned. As a response also to what Amanda said before, I think part of the reason people do want to go to NXT is because you have Natalya and her gym, the Workhorse gym, where she's training with a lot of the young talent as well, right there as well. You're going to tell me you don't have the opportunity to train with Natty and the Four Horsewomen, that you wouldn't maybe jump on it. Makes sense. But what I wanted to say real quick about the Fox things, a lot of people were trying to point it out as though this was proof positive that it's okay. They had one of those like build your Avengers team, and it had a bunch of Marvel Universe people, and they're all like, oh, there's this bullshit. Is Chris Pratt going to be mad that he's on the bottom? It's Avengers.
Drax should be. Drax
should be.
Because that little snail girl was above him, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. How is the little snail girl worth more than Drax?
Fair enough. Go ahead, Amanda. What did you want to say about all this?
I'm just saying.
Go ahead. Say what you want to say about the whole thing, though.
Well, honestly, like for me, it was really upsetting to see it when I saw it. Just because you're kind of you're pigeonholing the wrestling fans into, okay, this is what men probably watch women's wrestling for. There are a lot of guys, I think, in the fandom who will not admit that that's why they dig women's wrestling, and some people don't like it because they don't see any, athletic, they just are like, it's not as athletic, or, I don't want to say graceful, but it's just not as good as what the guys can do, that kind of attitude. So I think that with Fox doing that, that's a huge no, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And if it was to somehow, I don't even know why they even wanted to do it, but if it has something to, you want people to watch, these women, to figure this out or whatever, or watch the product. No, I don't want to watch that now, because that's kind of insulting. And I think with Natty, unfortunately, because of how, when she was doing Total Divas, how she was portrayed, it's really not fair to her, because they portrayed her as she's this overly emotional person, and woe is me. And I'm like, no, I would be, if I were her, I'd be completely upset, because it's like, any of those women should be upset, because it's like, you're all equals. There's no one that is better than the other. And I always kind of thought that was kind of the cool thing with all of their women's division, was that, at least, in the last couple of years when they started doing NXT, is all of the women were all on equal playing field. Yeah. And then when they got to main event, it was something, because everyone's on the same playing field. And that time they got to be on the same playing field as the boys. And that was huge. So I don't know what Fox was thinking. I'm glad they took it down, but honestly, it just kind of devalues them, because they're all equals. I mean, there's no, like, even someone that you're like, oh God, she can't wrestle. Like, I don't know, like Lana, I don't know. I don't think she's that good, but I'm just gonna pick on Lana. Yeah,
I will say she's been getting much better. She's been training with Natty, and I think it shows.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I get you.
And-
She's not been on the. She's
yeah.
not on the same skill
She's
level
not-
as most of the other women because of
yeah,
the time
she's
she
not
spent training versus
Bailey.
others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's not. But you know, like they're all the same. It doesn't matter. Like you could have like someone who's like Charlotte Flair, who has 1,000,000,010 championships and whatever. You know, I think she's just, you know, as good as or equal to someone like, let's say, like a like Indy Hartwell or something, because they all came pretty much from that same path and that trajectory. Obviously, Natty didn't, you know, and ones before her, Mickey James, those people. And I think that it's you know, it's horrible to see that because they are equal. And I think the only two rosters, I think, of women's wrestling, I think, that have that kind of mentality where the women are equal and no one really is above another person. I think obviously WWE in all of their offshoots does it, and I think Impact does it.
Yeah.
Because AEW sure as hell doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have this one person who's never wrestled before in her life, Jade Cargill. Now she's on a pedestal, and anybody else is like, whatever.
Yeah, there's no TV time. I'll say this too. Conrad Thompson brought up a good point in one of the threads. I saw him going back and forth, and I was like, man, I've always liked Conrad, but he's making me swoon tonight. He was going back and forth with this dude, being like, dude, you don't get it. As a boss, you don't do that. As an employer, you don't do that. You don't pit your employees against each other that way. And he goes, and what you also don't get is it's not real sports. He was like, more or less, and I'm being a little more harsher than he was. He was being way more diplomatic because he's dope. But he was saying, it takes the $1 to make the $5 look like they're worth $5.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they don't look $5 because the $1 are $1.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I think all that. I think all of that, and I just want to touch ground on it because I saw a lot of people, the whole internet community. Man, I must have muted 30 people yesterday. So I was all like, if you don't have the empathy level to understand that people hurting is valid, and it's up to you to learn from why someone was hurt and become better for it, and not up to you to dismiss their emotions as meaningless. People don't get hurt for no goddamn reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Glenn.
I guess
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I guess I've muted. I've gotten rid of a lot of those like whiner people off my timeline because I didn't have to mute any people and I really didn't see it there.
Well,
So,
I engaged.
Yeah.
I got to a point where I started engaging because I do feel strongly about Natty Neidhart being underrated and undervalued as it is to begin with. And the internet wrestling community is very mean to her an awful lot, and it doesn't make sense. And that's the other reason I thought, like, I'm glad she said something, because her more than anyone seems to have to prove the most to the fans the most often. And at this point, why? Why do we respect all these other legends and all these other wrestlers who have put in a third of the time that she has and act like she's not shit? That's bullshit. I'm not having it. There's no reason to disrespect Natty Neidhart ever. She's put more into the business and supported more of your favorites and got them where they're at than anyone else in the history of wrestling. In the women's division, at least. I don't know about outside of that.
If that was your favorite, the Four Horsewomen, would that same reaction would happen?
Yeah. If Sasha was number one, was a $1 one on there, the internet would have melted down saying this is bullshit and disrespectful. But it was Natty, and they said, suck it up, Buttercup. And that's what made me mad. And that's when I got to the point where I'm like, I can't say nothing at all. And so I engaged with a few people. I tweeted out about it. Natty liked a tweet that I did, which was cool. But she also follows me probably because I'm a fan. But I just think it's absolute bullshit that her, of all people, seemed to still have to prove herself to the fans. Because if at this point you don't see what's there with Natty, then you are not watching. You don't pay attention, and you don't watch wrestling the way that literally almost everyone else does, you know? Or you watch it at surface level as are. If you watch it on such a level that you don't have the utmost respect for Natty as the foundation of the women's division, then you're not a smart mark. You're a dumb fan.
Mm-hmm.
One thing as well, and this is just like, this is what I'm throwing out. It's just a perpetually frustrating thing about any criticism of people when it comes to like any comparative contest like this, when they defend it or try and argue, like this is being argued by fat fucks like me who couldn't do a damn thing in a ring or in anything with Natty. You know, let alone, and that part kind of drives me bananas. Like, you have no say in this, as you know, if you really, the only people you should care about in this are the talent, and if the talent who you care about are getting are affected, or fuck it, the people. If people are upset, you should care about them. You have no say in this anyway, and you don't know. You never will. And it's kind of silly to me to get like, buck yourself up, you know, do better. Fuck off. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Eat another pizza roll?
Yeah. Hot pocket. 100%, man.
Low key,
Bagel bites.
pop. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's it. I think it's the whole of it. Amanda, is there anything else you want to say on this before we talk AEW and get into NXT?
No, but I was gonna say, like, to your comment about, I don't watch the other WWE products, and I know damn well like what Natty's worth and her contribution is. I don't think you'd see any of one, the quality of the work that a lot of these women are doing now, because if you look at it versus like even 10 years ago, completely different. You know,
and that's just it. She's been here through all of that.
Yeah, she's been here through all of that. We had the butterfly belt, we had, you know, Lay Cool and all of that other stuff. And it's like, yeah, we don't see that anymore. And is it a bad thing? Maybe. Right. I don't know. But I'd rather see good quality wrestling. And I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have seen Ronda Rousey too.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I don't think we would have seen Ronda Rousey at all.
No.
Wanting to go this route. Or even Shayna
100%.
going this route. 100% on that.
Good.
Shayna actually, I don't know why, but she tweeted out that, I wasn't bothered by, you know, what was it? It was something to the effect of,
She made a dismissive comment about not finding her value with what the internet says, but I think that it was just her more or less saying, like, I didn't really care about it. I didn't look at it twice. And it's like, well, the conversation isn't about you right now. So,
And
boy, it'd be fun if you supported your friends.
I was,
right?
that kind of annoyed me, only because I was just thinking, well, you know, your good friend Rhonda also had some issues, you know, some mental issues when the fans were being shit to her. So, you know, don't dismiss what people are feeling, because that's not you. And Natty spent her whole life in this business, and you haven't. Yeah,
you haven't. And at the end of the day, Rhonda had 2 losses and felt worthless, and we almost lost her. And that's bullshit. So I don't think that the conversation needs to get to a point where somebody's questioning their worth.
Yes. 1,000%.
And if it does, then that's the wrong conversation, man. Kiro says in the chat, personally lost it to people because of that. My freaking auntie by marriage. I don't know if he's saying Natty's his auntie or if he lost it on his auntie, but either way, I support all of that. Yeah, I was mad. I was talking to people, and then I was fucking muting motherfuckers because I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the utmost respect for Natalya Neidhart and speaking up. And I'll throw this out here as a little tidbit note at the end. She put out a video like a week or 2 ago about her knowing her worth, her finding her value. Honestly, she did. And that she wasn't going to be taking this shit lightly anymore, and that she's done enough to build the foundation that she's not going to be walked over anymore. And if all of this is part of that, and it's all part of this new kayfabe world of finding these pockets to get people riled up and fooled up in, I'm on board, because I'm supporting Natty either way. And I'd rather err on the side of empathy than err on the side of it's okay for me to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah.
And if this elevates Natty and pushes her again, because she's had a few championship runs and I've loved every one of them, then fucking more power to you, and I'd be happy to eat crow on that. But at the same time, I don't think that we're wrong in having these feelings of support, and I'll never back down from that.
Yeah. I think another big thing too, like you mentioned, no, there's not. You don't hear about female talent, or you don't hear about female talent coming up now that they're super idolized. Like they might talk about amazing workers, or they might talk about people who push it, but you don't hear them saying like, "Oh yeah, no, I totally wanted to be like, Maria Kanellis," or and I'm not saying this to knock people back, but like that I wanted to be like a Nitro girl. I don't know. I hear a lot about like, oh, I admired Eddie Guerrero. Or, I admired this push past, and like, yeah, absolutely, because I don't grow. I didn't want to be a wrestler growing up because I saw the dicks. you know,
100%. Yeah.
I
No,
think
because the idea that that women even want to be wrestlers at this day and age when they grew up during the Divas era is already remarkable. So that they found glimmers of hope in Beth Phoenix and Natty and similar. Then yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Bayley and Sasha famously grabbed onto Macho and Eddie Guerrero and said we wanted to bring that to women's wrestling. And what Natty was doing the whole time in between all of that, because there's a ton of arguments to be made about the evolution of women's wrestling and the Four Horsewomen and their contributions, and I do think they pushed a lot of it, but who was in the middle of the storm trying to figure out her own way within it? Because the whole time, Natty was never not an amazing wrestler. She was a dungeon-trained wrestler from the beginning, and she was trying to find her place in a Divas world and trying to figure out how, in the middle of all of that, do I find enough of a voice that they're going to listen and allow this to change? And I do think it took people like Natty and Beth Phoenix to make that move happen. And I think that it's disrespectful to think otherwise. Guys, I'm ready to talk about AEW if you are.
Yeah. Oh, here, one real quick thing of news. And it's really not news, but this was on my timeline. And instead of this the $15 thing. Okay, a fan had made a post about Black History Month and decided to use AEW and then the 3 WWE brands. I think for me, I was a little more riled up about this one because they forgot on actually almost on a lot of them, they forgot people who are African American on the roster. For example, I'm going to use the AEW photo. The guy behind me is not on there. Ricky Starks wasn't there. He's half Black. I mean, him. I think some of these other guys weren't on there. Red Velvet wasn't on there, and these were guys that you see constantly on like Dark all the time. Like, there's is it Baron Black? I don't know. But the guy was like, oh, his answer was, they weren't on the roster online. And I'm like, whoa, come on. You didn't see like Red Velvet? Like she's in this marquee match that's happening because obviously Brandy can't do it. It's because she's, with child.
Is she not on the roster page though?
I don't know. I didn't look at it, but that's what the guy was saying. And my thing was, it's like, if you're going to because it looks almost official. Because I was like, man, did AEW, because I only saw at first the AEW one. I was like, did AEW put that out there? I'm like, wow, how insensitive are they? And then no, someone told me, oh, it was a fan who did it. And I finally found the post that the guy did it. But it's like, you forgot people, Yeah. And it's like, it's great. You want to, make things like this and celebrate it, but it looks so official that, if you didn't know a fan made it, it's very insulting at the same time. So I guess, I guess so. I think the bottom line for everything is don't make.
Oh, Red Velvet is not listed in the roster team. On the women's roster.
I don't know why.
I bet you she's not signed.
Maybe. I don't know. But
I'm tired of them using unsigned talent. Maybe that's just me being a dick, but come on.
I don't know. I mean, because some of my favorites there are not signed.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Sign them. Pay them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting paid. I mean, I kind of enjoy Fuego del Sol. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, he's not signed, you know. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you're, I think that the moral of the story is, guys, don't make things like, if you're, it's great if you want to make things like about Black History Month, or if you want to do some kind of meme where you're like, oh, you have $15 to make your ultimate, you know, women's like wrestling, you know, promotion, and they give you people, just don't do it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, just fucking forget it.
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd even be bothered by someone who did something like, oh, you've got $15 and you got to bring in a new staff to train young talent. Who do you bring in? And so that'd be interesting to see. But at the same time, I don't fucking know who trains good. So it's not up to us.
Yeah.
So relax on that.
It's not. But it is up to us. Like if you're doing things like if you're celebrating like Black History Month, or if you want to do like Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is May, at least make sure you have the people on there that represent the community. Because I was blown away. I'm like, wow, okay, these are people that are on all the time, and yet you're I don't care if they're signed or not, you know. Where else?
Exactly, where else are they? I will say that looking at their roster thing here, Sean Spears is not prevalent anymore. Love it. But let's talk AEW.
Jesus Christ. Oh, best day
all right.
ever.
And
What a dick.
producer lady here has to remind listeners who aren't aware, Marsh here has some heat with Sean Spears.
Fuck Sean Spears. I got heat with that dude. And you know what? What happened? What went wrong? I thought you went to AEW because you were going to prove, because AEW was going to prove he'd been used wrong all along. He was a main eventer who was never utilized right. And what happens? He gets there mid-card for life to put over the actual top stars and booted. Tooted and booted. Bloop!
Okay.
I want to tell you this right now.
Go ahead.
When we are at whatever wrestling conference that somehow I'm roped into going, and we come across Sean Spears and he sees you and he gives chase, I'm fucking tripping you.
Yep.
So
as soon as I turn around, I expect you to shoulder block me and him to beat the shit out of me 100%. I will
Hey,
not
Sean,
win in a fight against Sean
he's
Spears.
here.
Yeah, this is him right here. I imagine I will get my ass handed. I could not beat Sean Spears in a fight. No, wait, no.
okay, and the reason for this heat is some poor fan talent experiences. So
Yeah, I've run into him 4 times, and every time he was a total asshole.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it, but that's the reason for the heat.
If you want to find out about it, it's on episode 1. Look it up. Plump.
He beats the shit out of you. You still think he's an asshole? Now he's an asshole because he beat my ass.
Shit out of you,
Fair. Yeah.
You know, that might turn me around. I mean, I might be like, you know what? He's an all right guy. He stands up for himself. You know what I mean? He doesn't let Poindexters like me push him around. I appreciate that. I respect the guy.
Or I could see you getting worse. You're like, you know, I've been hit a lot. He really doesn't work his arms enough. It's like,
Right?
just like
all
blood
you
pouring
got?
out of your eyes.
Is
like,
that all you got? Just getting my ass handed to me. Yeah, exactly.
I swear.
Monty Python shit. Just a flesh wound.
Do we all have someone that's like that? Because I know I've got probably 3 wrestlers that, you know, people don't do it, don't go there. I will say this.
Clump, you got heat with anybody?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Wrestler.
All right.
They know.
Yeah.
Wrestler? Yeah,
He doesn't got to go through it. You don't got to get the details.
Yeah, we don't have to get into everyone.
But I will say this, because I'm not shy about mine. If you ever see Will Ospreay around me, don't stop me, because I will kick his ass. I will kill him.
I don't see how.
And he
this is
knows I
helping.
will kill him. I
This
know
isn't
I will.
helping us.
If you watch the Super J Cup from last year or 2019 in San Francisco, someone was giving him shit from the crowd. That was me. And I was very loud.
Yo.
You can hear almost every single thing.
Clump, it'll be opposite, right? We'll all be there. You'll trip me to get Sean Spears to beat the shit out of me, and then you're going to tackle Ospreay so Amanda can get a few licks
No,
in.
I'm going to be focused on going to punch Jericho in the face.
There you go.
You ruined my childhood. Everything about you. I don't know why I invested that. That and George the Animal Steel. No.
But isn't he dead?
Oh, what? What happened to George Steele? What do you do?
Is he dead?
He died. I have beef with
Yeah,
him.
but
He
why
shouldn't have died.
were you going to say that about a dead guy?
Why do you
I'm
beef with
upset
him?
he died. I wanted to meet him.
Oh,
Oh, that's actually really fair. That's super fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Same with like George Carlin. I got beef with him because he
dude.
died.
Oh, 100%. I got an old WWF program from early mid 80s that has George Samuel Steele on the cover of it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I love it, and I touch it delicately like a library book. Guys, let's talk AEW. AEW. AEW.
Boy, your voice cracked. Did you just say
What? No, didn't. No, that's you, dude. Get your ears cracked.
Wrestling heart rate 150. Okay, cool. You keep
All good.
drinking Red Bull.
Got it. Clump, I did not watch AEW. I saw 2 highlights that you guys both know about. I'm gonna let you guys talk about what you want to talk about. Let's start with Clump, and then, or let's do this. Let's start with Amanda, go to Clump, and we'll go back and forth until we hit all the grounds that you guys wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Amanda, what's the first thing you wanted to say about AEW?
Oh, actually, the one highlight for me really was the women's match, seeing Riho in her first match back, and Serena Deeb. And I think that I'm not a fan of Riho, and I don't know, maybe because I think that, okay, she's this frail 98-pound soaking wet, little doll, that it's not believable to me. But man, that program that she had last night was Serena Deeb. I know Serena Deeb is great and will make anyone look like $1 million, but honestly, like Riho, I was like, who the hell is this now? Like, this was not the same person that I saw before, because I mean, didn't she only just wrestle other Joshis and then maybe Nyla Rose and maybe someone else? I don't know. But yeah, so I was really, I was really pleased with that.
I heard it was potentially Riho's best match that she's had in America.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are now like, ooh, really excited. Now, I don't know if that is because of the women's, their tournament, and that was, kind of shown on Monday on YouTube, and then, this was a match of it, and people are like really getting into the women. I don't know.
Could be.
Or even Joshi wrestling for that matter. But I think that it was great. And Serena Deeb is a good catch. I do question it now because Serena did lose.
Yeah.
Does this mean that Riho gets a shot at the NWA women's title? And does it really even matter anymore? Because
it's an internet
NWA
championship anyways.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, because it's almost like the only time you ever see it now is when Serena wrestles on AEW. And they did have that one match, didn't they, with Thunder Rosa, her and Thunder Rosa, and it was on AEW?
Yeah.
And she won?
100%.
Yeah. So
And I think Serena Deeb and Allison Kay too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they've done them. Clump, what do you think? Do you think that Riho goes for the NWA title?
Yeah, we need to put some prestige on that belt.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't think so. It doesn't make sense to me for her too.
Here's the only reason that I don't think so, and I'll pitch right back to you. I don't think so because I thought from the beginning this whole tournament was built to get Riho back to the number 1 contender spot to have a match against Shida to prove their point about Joshi's or something. So that's the only reason I think no. But go ahead and Clump.
Honestly, like, you threw it out there, and I didn't want to acknowledge that was the need for this tournament. But yeah, because I think it would have been a more compelling story for it to be a showcase for Serena Deeb. You have a awesome built-in story of this person being it. There's so many good promos. They've shown so much work. Yeah, Riho is your first women's champion. If you have to rebuild your first women's champion this rapidly,
rankings. It's because they fucked themselves with rankings.
Yeah, I get you, but damn, you could do better.
Yeah.
They could have do a better.
It was a good match. Yeah, no, it was a good match, but I feel like the wrong person went over.
Yeah, yes. I do too.
It could have equally gone the same, like had a different result and done the same thing. Riho could have looked strong, and Serena Deeb looked amazing. Like, oh wow, you beat the AEW champion. Wow. But
then you start getting a story of, is the NWA champion going to go head to head with the AEW champion? And then you can start getting some real steam behind it. But to crush the NWA champion right there in the beginning against someone who hadn't wrestled in like a year, all right.
Yeah, well, that's the next round. That's who she meets next. She meets Thunder Rosa next. So you're going to tell me that they're like totally on board and love Thunder Rosa, that they're going to have her job to Rio? I don't think that it's going to happen.
And that's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a horrible way to go, because Thunder Rosa is so beloved. I think more so than Rio is. But
who's the most beloved by Kenny?
Yeah, but still.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
A big part of me always, whenever we mention like Kenny's involvement with Riho and the Joshis, wants to be like, it's not like that. But as time's gone on, I'm like, yeah, 100%. This is purely like we've talked about, and just I'll just jump in my kind of thing. Extrapolating further out in wrestling, Smarks have always talked about the Clique and how Triple H's buddies and blank they get all this preferential treatment. In AEW, we've seen this, but I don't think it's the Bucks or Cody that's that bad. It's fucking Kenny. Kenny, it's at least like the most egregious where I'm like, I don't get why the hell any of you are here. Like, you are dog shit, period. Like
Michael Nakazawa, yeah.
That was a funny bit that we've extended into 2 years.
Yeah, but you don't need that now.
You did need it then.
Yeah. I know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's just so fucking weird and annoying. Yeah. But what I was gonna jump into mine real quick, because I struggle to think of a positive. Kingston's promo, which is hard to say, but literally at times I wait for Kingston to talk because I'm like, okay, at least that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, fantastic promo. The idea of him going over, I can't get past Moxley, but I'm gonna have to. I was like, okay, I like this. But even in that, I'm a little bit like bitter because Moxley doesn't seem to give a fuck about Kingston.
Nope.
So, if you're gonna have somebody going after someone, at least make it like them care, because Moxley's focused on that title. Moxley's focused on Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, that title could be used to elevate someone else. Elevate Ricky Starks with it. Elevate Cage. And let Kingston and Moxley have a fantastic feud over something that matters,
Yeah.
Sure.
So that sucked. You're up.
Well, that goes back to the whole, Eddie should have beat Mox. It goes back to that.
Yeah.
And, now Eddie's painted as, he's kind of the lovable loser. Oh God, if you ever heard this, don't kill me. But I mean, I don't know. And I will say the other thing that there were other two comments. One, it was nice seeing -1 is back and around. Two, Tony Schiavone was really hyping up this Shaq training video with Jade Cargill. I thought we were going to see him wrestle, but it was basketball. But my comment about that was, there's a time where Shaq was doing a shot from the free throw line. I'm like, how many times did you do that? Because anyone who, I don't really watch basketball. I hate it, But I know that Shaq is not a free throw thrower. Yes. And then when it went in just there, I'm like, how many times did they do that? I'm like, seriously, I want to know. Because they probably had to do it at least 100 times for him to make it. And I did
see that video, and it was Shaq and Jade playing basketball, and someone's like, wait, is this going to be a basketball match or a wrestling match?
Yeah, Red Velvet had said that on her Twitter. She was, are we playing basketball? Are we playing basketball? I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah.
I retweeted it. I said, oh, that's what they meant when they said sports-based presentation. It's all sports.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then the third one, I think, do we want to talk about Sting taking a bump?
Yeah, so Sting took a power bomb. I did see that. He took a hell of a power bomb from Brian Cage, I do believe, which means that all the smartest of marks, who said there's no way he's taking an actual bump. It will be cinematic matches only from here on out, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Probably just got a lesson in that Sting feels ready to take bumps. I'm not saying Sting should or should not take bumps. I'm saying we're getting Sting matches coming forward. In-ring matches is what we're going to
He
get.
has decided we are in the middle about this.
Yep.
Yes,
He's decided. I don't know.
But do you think that having a exploding barbed wire match, wouldn't you think that should be cinematic?
No.
Because
you use real bombs.
Well, no, I mean, do they have some kind of partnership with GCW now? Because like when I think of deathmatch, I'm like, first of all, why is there deathmatch on here? Okay, why are we going there to begin with?
And you really
should.
This is such good shit, pal.
Well, no, but you really shouldn't be doing that. Like, I don't see Kenny as a deathmatch wrestler.
Nope.
I don't know. Someone can convince me otherwise. I don't know, but that just is weird. I'm like, if it doesn't have like someone like a Janela or, Darby Allin, I know Mox, obviously that was his roots, but if it doesn't have one of those, or maybe even Archer to a certain extent, it's like.
Yeah, but remember how bad the unsanctioned match was?
Yeah.
It did not go well. It was not a good match. It wasn't a good hardcore match. It wasn't a good wrestling match. It was just a shit show of Kenny and Mox trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing there, because Kenny's a fish out of water, and Mox is trying to figure out how to do a safe thing with stuff that he always learned how to do unsafely. So it was really weird, and they're trying to use movie props, and it was obvious. The way that the glass turned into powder in seconds and not shards, you're like, oh, sugar. Like, it was just obvious and weird. And it's happened more than once there. When they try to do the whole bubbly segment with Moxley joining the Inner Circle, which was a fucking farce to begin with, he goes to pick up a bottle and the bottom pops right out. Because it was sugar glass and they didn't know how to handle it. Yep. I mean, fast forward to Carmella smashing Sasha Banks with a bottle. She did it right. She held it from the middle and slapped it, and it was amazing. But I am really looking forward to seeing an exploding barbed wire death match with Moxley and Kenny Omega, because of all those reasons, that none of these things add up to a reasonable reason to have this match with people who probably should not be involved in this match, with people who don't know how to do these kinds of stunts. So for me, I'm about to watch a car wreck one way or the other.
Yeah. No, 100% is I feel like that. At best, this is a car wreck, but do you need a belt around a car wreck, especially when you've not established yourself long enough to have a B pay-per-view? All of your pay-per-views are supposed to be important because they're paying for them. Do I want to see?
You said that, and I went, "What belt?" In my mind, I was like, "What belt is he talking about?" I went, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, right. Like, I don't get why I'm watching this. Like, if this happened on like WWE Battleground, like right after the Punjabi prison match, I'd be like, you know what? It's okay. This is the June pay-per-view. We're waiting for SummerSlam. That's when things will matter. They don't have this. Every pay-per-view is effectively their major pay-per-view now, and I'm like, or I as a fan, I struggle to be supportive of clearly shitty schmoz finishes when you have talent that's done fantastic work. Try and show me something cool and different. And yeah, you can incorporate weapons into that, but I'm a big deathmatch guy. I love Big Japan Wrestling. The big thing I like about Big Japan Wrestling and how terrible it is these are people who they don't really do better. They're focused on like blood and gore, and that's a thing, but it's a different type of exercise. They're not doing this because they can do a 5-star 45-minute match. They're doing this because they know how to bleed and not die. And I'm
because that's what I was wondering, because I know that you've been big on death matches. You're the first person to send me C4 match and told me to check them out. I never saw them before. You're like, you've got to see C4 matches. I was like, out of your fucking mind, I do. And then I sat there all night and watched everyone you sent me. But
right.
So I thought that you might be kind of excited about it from that regard, but I do appreciate that you're just like, these guys have no business doing this.
Also, these guys have no business doing it because it's ultimately a pay-per-view for a show on TN who's already said they don't like blood. So no, why are you trying to make these like big scary matches? Nobody's gonna bleed. Nobody's gonna do anything. And yeah, it's not great that that's something I'm looking for in a hardcore match, but yeah, there's gonna be an element of blood. If you're saying C4 barbed wire death match and nobody's bleeding, I'm quitting.
Part of me thinks or wonders if, and I'm not advocating for any company to never do well, but I wonder if part of this is Tony Khan driving it like he stole it and being like, fuck it, we'll do it live. Just get it done. Just to see how much he can do on national TV before they shut it down. Because I wonder if they don't see long term like they originally did. I wonder if at this point they're not seeing the rise in numbers the way they thought they would. And they think, we don't have another renewal in us. We've got the 5 years we got, tops. And I wonder if he's like, how much can we get out there? Because if we gun it, maybe it'll pick up the steam we were hoping for from the beginning.
That's a last-ditch effort, though, I would think. You know,
You don't think
it's like-
Explosions is a last-ditch effort?
Yeah, with barbed wire, because let me tell you, okay, when I saw that, because I was like, okay, the one thing that flashed in my mind is I saw that match, Nick Gage versus David Arquette. David Arquette, I don't think, had any clue with what he was walking into.
No idea.
And it was obvious because he freaked out because Gage had stabbed him with a light tube at some point, and it broke. It almost came close to a major artery, and David Arquette was like freaking out. And so I'm thinking, man, does Kenny know what he's in for? Because, you know, I don't know. And that was really uncomfortable to kind of see, because you're like, oh, you know, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's
Justin
something that
says, watch them have the match on the football field. You're fucking hysterical.
Oh my God. No. But I just, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. But I think if Tony Khan, seriously, if he wants an honest, like, I think, you know, what do the fans want? I think that he should take a certain, like, little poll of people. Okay. And I'm not saying, you know, like, you know, I want to be a part of it.
$15.
yeah 15. No, but I think he should sit down with a lot of people who are watching this and tell them what they like, what they don't like, and what they want to see more of. Because I know myself, I like, if I ever see him again, I'm gonna be very vocal, like, what the fuck are you doing with some of these people? Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that we were gonna get, you know, BTE live every Wednesday. You know, if you are, then you need to bring back, I think, my favorite character, but, you know, needs, you know, whatever. But I think that he needs to go back, because I think if they actually did and committed to good storylines, I think that they'd fare better. And especially, you know, you want people who aren't known to, like, come up, because look at Private Party now Private Party, you know, oh, okay, they're going after the Impact title. Okay, whoa, they're working with Matt Hardy. I mean, they're you know, trying to launch someone new, you know. Top Flight eventually will get their thing, but I think that that's the problem that you're having, is you got some of the really good people on the indies right now, but you don't use them, and when you use them, you don't use them correctly. And I think that that's a huge loss. So
I think that they've scared off more people than people are willing to admit. I mean, walking into AEW, Klump was our resident AEW guy because it was literally all of his favorites from Japan building a promotion around themselves. He thought, what could possibly go wrong? And we're like, yeah, we don't know what to expect. And he goes, wait till you get a load of this. And within weeks, he was like, guys, can we talk about something else for a while? And Klump's not the only person I know like that. I know a number of people who used to watch AEW religiously week by week, and every week is a little bit less enthusiastic of what am I fucking watching. And I think that they have their hardcore fan hate watches it. I think the majority of people who love AEW love it because of how much they hate WWE, and not because the product is speaking to them. It's just 100%. This is something Vince McMahon would never do. Therefore, it's good.
No,
I think that they're scaring away a lot of their fans. Because the other thing was you, Amanda. I brought you into this show as a guest because I was like, oh, I'm going to make her watch NXT. And then she's going to be all like, I love AEW, NXT's the shits. And we're going to have a great conversation. Come to find out, you're like, oh, I don't watch AEW. That stuff's garbage. And I was like, what?
No, well, no, but I only really got invested, to be perfectly honest, when they signed Ricky. And it's a personal thing because, that's a friend. And then Will Hobbs, they signed, who, again, another friend and someone I've known for, years. And it was like, I was more invested because I didn't have any investment. Yeah, there's Colt Cabana, but you know what? Like, I'm like, whatever, I mean, good for him. He's actually gets to be on national TV. But, and again, it's like, it was stupid at first. Like, you're the reason why the Bucks are even as fucking big as they are. And why AEW is a t-shirt company. You're the man, in the background. Yeah. You and Ryan Barkin. But yeah, I mean, and I was like, God, it took them long enough. But, but I don't know. Like, I don't like right now I watch it and I'm like, oh, like yesterday I was watching it and I'm like, I was like, I did other things while it was on. Like, cause it did not hold any like interest to me. And, I mean, the only things I thought were hilarious were, that basketball thing. And then I thought, what else was hilarious? I mean, there were things that I'm like, God, it just annoys me. Like the fucking Gunn brothers again. And then that pissed me off. I'm like, you guys need to just shut up, and I was like, ugh, this is turning me off, But to be real, they haven't done anything great in a while. They had potential in the summer. They had total potential. Says,
from a Canadian perspective, they don't even get NXT, which is why a lot of Canadians, and I believe there's a number of international fans, I've heard that too, they don't get NXT, so they watch AEW, or they only get one and a WWE show at all, so it's kind of the only wrestling they get. So I wonder, here's the other deal. We don't know a lot about ratings. We bring it up because we don't know, but what I have learned about ratings, which is minimal, as we are not experts or insiders, is a lot of the ratings don't tell you who's watching. It's reporting a specific area. So I wonder how much of AEW's ratings are coming internationally versus locally where NXT may be reversed. Because the other thing we also found out was, and we talked about it briefly, and so I'm only going to run through it, the Fox app. If you watch SmackDown on Fox through an app, it will not give the ratings to the cable companies. So anybody who watches Fox on an app is a void. It's an empty space. It doesn't exist. So that means that the number one show, the number one rated wrestling show in the entire country, which is SmackDown at usually 2.5 million, is actually getting more views that are unreported. We don't know how many other platforms are similar. I have no idea because I'm not an insider and I don't know those companies. But it does make me wonder how many people, or is that why AEW was so big on their international push and have talked so highly about their international push and the BR relationship they have, being that a good chunk of their audience may have literally no other alternative.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That makes sense. I mean,
just a question. We can move on to NXT.
Well, I was going to throw one last thing out.
Go ahead, throw that out, and then I want to talk about the pay-per-view real quick. Go ahead.
Gotcha. I was going to say also, just last thing, kind of struggled with on AEW was Santana and Ortiz versus the Young Bucks. Initially, I was incredibly excited because, yeah, I could see Santana and Ortiz with the belts, and it would be a really interesting story to have Santana and Ortiz have the belts against the Inner Circle. But then it turned into just the, Inner Circle being sabotaged by themselves for a story that I don't give a shit about. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the MJF and Jericho are in it, let alone why they have to be the winners here. So that felt rough because Santana and Ortiz, the match is underwhelming, but I don't know how much of that was the match and how much of that was just the weird story around the fucking match.
I think it's a weird story.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because I've seen really good Young Bucks, Santana, and Ortiz matches. And I don't know, that whole Inner Circle thing is such a shit show that it's now way out of control. And I'm like, I don't want to watch Flubber. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Jericho,
Rob
I'm
Williams
like,
is a
God.
goddamn gem. Wait, are you
It's
calling
like, dude,
Jericho
put a shirt on.
Flubber?
I called him Flubber. Yeah.
Love it.
Don't insult Flubber.
Well, he needs to put a shirt on. Okay. No one wants to see him in a leather jacket without a shirt on. Okay. I certainly do not. All
He
right.
needs to dye his roots.
Yeah, that too. And I know I have
There's
to do mine too, but
There's a
But
lot
still.
going on there. Okay. I'm gonna reel
Can
this
we
in a
just
little
do a week of Eric just shitting on Jericho for 3 hours? Because I'm cool doing that.
Actually,
Alright.
Kuro's in for it. Kuro already says in the chat, insult before you even got those words out. He said, "Insult Jericho more. He deserves it." Kuro in the chat. If you're listening on podcast, twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks is where you can join the chat for free. Although we really ask that if you have Amazon Prime, you connect your Amazon Prime to Twitch, and then voila, you have Twitch Prime. Now you can buy me a drink for free because every Amazon Prime account comes with a free Twitch subscription. You may not know about that, but if you want to learn more, go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. WrestlingOnTheRocks.com to find out how you can join the chatter. So, Clump, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll just come in here one day, you and me, on like a Saturday or something.
I want to
We'll
come
be like,
in.
hey, we'll see. So in the chat, Justin
We'll
Time
call
does
it the
say,
Chronicles of Disappointment.
yes. Let's see. Justin
'cause
Time
I-
says, see, I'm a fan of both AEW and WWE. Even though I shit on WWE, it's only because I want to see them get better. Which I think is fair. It's one of the reasons why we were hard on AEW in the beginning was you have a lot to prove real early on. We want you to see you do it. And they instead just said, well, just don't watch. Okay. I had a boss once who said, hey, we're all trying pretty hard here, but if you're miserable here, you might as well just leave because the company's not getting any better. And I went, what? And they said, yeah, we're not going to really try. So if you're not happy here, just leave the company. And I went, oh, that's an interesting thing to tell me. So, let's see. So it's the same kind of deal. I felt like I went to AEW and was like, hey guys, what's going on here? And they went, just leave. Oh. Kiro says the majority of AEW's market of new eyes is from Canada. Viewership is a legally public thing here in when you write the broadcaster. Justin Time says, watch the Bucks and Good Brothers match when they eventually have it be title for title. That's why they're still champions. Oh, maybe. And then Kiro says Jericho deserves it solely based on his wife's actions. Not joking. Well, we won't get into any of that. We're not going to get into that, Clump. Relax. But that's a whole other world of shit cannery.
Yeah.
As we build into their pay-per-view that's coming up, it's occurred to me you have Shaquille O'Neal and Jade Cargill, both of whom have never been in a wrestling match against Red Velvet and Cody Rhodes, both of who have been in wrestling matches. That's not going to be that's not on pay-per-view?
No, because remember I told Cody is doing a triple threat with Penta and Scorpio Sky.
Oh,
No,
that's the pay-per-view. So this is
Dynamite.
different. Oof,
Yeah.
okay, so you got that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's-
good,
it's
'cause
on the
I
3rd
was
of March.
afraid we
Actually,
were getting Shaq and Sting on the same pay-per-view.
No. You can't. They can't do that.
They can't
No.
do that.
No.
Okay.
That would be too many things because you have
Too
exploding
much.
barbed wire, you have Sting, and then you have
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, and you have Mox. That's a lot of shit on that one.
There's a lot going on. A lot of going on.
Versus,
All right, cool.
Like, yeah.
Well, let's move on. Let's
Need
talk about NXT. We have a Shaq match coming up. We've got a Sting match coming up. We got explosions coming up. That's enough to make me want to watch the AEW pay-per-view as long as I don't have to PPV, if you know what I'm saying. We'll talk about it. What? I'm saying I don't want to pay. I'm going to find out a way to watch it. Legally. Shh. Stop it. We'll talk offline.
It's not worth going to jail over. Trust me.
Right? Yeah. Not again. Justin says he thought it was Cody versus both Lucha Bros. I don't know, man. We'll find out. We got time.
It's gonna
Let's talk
suck.
NXT.
Let's go.
It's
Yeah.
not going to be good. Let's talk
I don't like
NXT. We had Vengence. We had the Fallout. Guys, we talked a lot about Natty and a lot about the signees of NXT, so I feel a little bit bad. It's this late in the show, and we're just now getting to Vengence, when really I thought we were going to talk about AEW for all of 4 minutes. Guys,
It's that upsetting.
that's the thing.
It's like
And
a
we
World
started
War
shit
II.
on-
It's like a World War II documentary. Okay, I got 5 minutes to talk about this. Yeah, no.
And we were shitting on Jericho. So,
Yeah.
it takes time.
Yeah. I know it takes time. It's just, I like it's like when you're this upset about what you're watching, you're gonna talk about it. But Vengeance happened, and there was a lot of incredible matches on there. I'm gonna run through just a list of the card because going into it, I really felt like I don't know why to care about these matches other than I just really seem to care about these matches. You had the Women Dusty Rhodes Classic Finals of Shotzi and Ember losing to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, which was fantastic because I had called the other way around, saying that the current champions were heels, so why would you have a heel team win it? And then we found out on NXT why, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, briefly at least. And then you had Kushida versus Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship match, which I thought was a tremendous match. Different type of match than we'd ever see Gargano been in, but I thought the wrong person won. Let me see.
Exactly.
I'm running
You
through it,
always
and then we're going to
complain
go
that
back.
Gargano loses.
I know. That was the whole thing. We'll talk about it. We had Men's Dusty Classic Finals, MSK and Grizzled Young Vets. We had the triple threat match, the women's of Martinez, Io Shirai, and Toni Storm. We had Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. Guys, it was a stacked card. And you had the debut of L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that debut? Debut of Shoes of a Champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me. You see these shoes? Shoes of a champion. You see this mic? Shoes of a champion. You see that debut? Debut of a champion. Yeah. Shoes. Yeah.
White New Balances.
Yeah. Sorry.
Court
I was
classics
so
from Costco.
fucking... Yeah. Dude, when LA Knight comes out on the NXT pre-show and shoves Sam Roberts on his ass. Not exactly, but good enough. I fucking went nuts. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I like Sam Roberts so much. I'm a Patreon. We've talked about him. We put him over 100 times. I consider him kind of a friend because I think if I showed up in New York and said, Sam, is there any chance we get a lunch? He probably would say yes.
Aw.
But watching
You're paying them.
LA Knight come out and say, get out of here, you incel. No one wants to hear that prepubescent voice. I went, yeah! Fuck that guy, yeah! Loved it. Loved it. And it set the mood for the night for me because it didn't matter what was happening. It was Shoes of a Champion. Guys, what did you think of Vengeance? Clump, will start with you. Yeah!
Yeah.
Not a bad pay-per-view overall. I was pretty happy with it. I thought the end was fantastic. It's an NXT pay-per-view. There's not a thing that's too bad about it. Even the results I didn't like, I was like, it was a good match leading up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda, anything?
You know,
Yeah.
I actually, it was very enjoyable. The one thing though, I was, like I knew, kind of knew in my heart Gargano was going to win, but that was just a fantastic match to see him and Kushida, because obviously it's a different style that everyone, no one's really kind of doing. And so I thought that was really great because they're both junior size wrestlers. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. But MSK though, I mean, the men's tag match, holy shit. That's all I'm going to say. Holy shit. I mean, I was pulling for MSK. I said that they're going to win when we saw them. And I was like, yep, they're going to be the ones that win. And it had me going. I'm like, maybe they're not gonna, I don't know, but they did. But that match, I think probably was like, for me, that could strongly be, and we're early in the year, that could be like a match of the year contender. Definitely for the tags. But I really think so.
Wait,
Just-
the MSK match?
Yeah, the MSK match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's definitely, it has to be a match of the year match. There's no way, because that was just incredible. I mean, just the athleticism, just everything. It was almost like if you could say that there was a perfect tag match. I mean, that was pretty much right there, textbook. And I mean,
It was incredible.
It was incredible. Just it had so many emotional roller coasters, the ups and the downs, and it was great. So there was great storytelling in it, and I mean that really stood out. I mean,
It had me screaming.
Yeah.
I was literally here just screaming, "Oh my God, what? Oh."
Yeah.
Watching them do the stuff that they were doing, it was absolutely insane. And I was like, MSK has quickly become in my top 5 favorite tag teams of all time. They have found a way to connect their personalities in a really cool way. They perform on a different level. They look to me like what I think people who think what video game wrestling looks like actually could be. They, to me, feel like a bar. You said Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. I think it's what the Young Bucks think they look like but don't. I think it's what, if it's the people who go, oh, this is really cool when you set it together like a video game. I think it's people doing stuff that you would only see in a video game because people can't actually move that way, but they do. And I think they move naturally like Ricochet does and AJ Styles does. To me, they're on that level of AJ Styles and Ricochet as far as how do you get where you need to be when you need to be there without looking like you went there just because you're supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. They get it. They do it that way. It's absolutely amazing. And I thought that the emotion that was in that match, I was feeling it. And when they won and both of them were getting choked up, so was I, because it felt big. All the time these Dusty Classics happen, and it's always a cool team, and people go, oh, yeah, it's good, it's great honor, this and that. But it felt different for those two. Mm-hmm. Those two feel like they're coming from a place of real struggle like other people don't, and I don't know what that is. I don't know exactly what that is. But something about them feels like they're not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. They were never supposed to make it. Mm-hmm. They weren't ever supposed to get out of wherever they were at, is what it feels like. So it feels like when you watch them here, you go, they did the thing that no one believed they could. No matter how many hometown fans said, yeah, you'll get there, they'd go home and say, I mean, there's no way they get there, but it's nice, right? They're cool guys. That's what they feel like to me. Am I way off on this? Clump, what do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think, same thing. In the short amount of time I've seen in MSK, I've tried to not like them, but I'm just like, damn it, I like you fucks more and more. Quit doing this thing right, And I agree also in that I think they're what so many people want their favorite tag teams to be. They've nailed it down, they've worked on it, and fuck, they're so young. Imagine where they'll be in a year, 2 years, 5 years,
Oh my God, dude. And I think about dream matches already because the Usos have been in my top for a long time. Usos and New Day and I'm FTR. I'm glad you said that because I was like, man, I'm so fucking WWE heavy. I'm a shill and I know it. But FTR is huge on my list of favorite tag teams. And it's like, these guys, I'm like, there is something so special about this team and their camaraderie. And I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, when Wes Lee breaks out as a single star, it's going to be big. I agree. But part of me is like, they could be the new Usos. They could be that tag team. They could be the new Dudley Boys. That tag team that runs it through for the next 10, 15 years, and nobody minds that they keep winning titles and losing titles because go ahead and stack them with gold. These guys, they deserve that. And maybe one of the dudes gets a singles title here and there, but there's something about these two that feels so connected and so natural. I don't know, man. This felt like a huge moment. This felt like the biggest Dusty Cup win that I have ever seen. Even after seeing the women win their Dusty Cup, which felt like a big move. But this felt big. This felt like real big time for a couple of kids who never thought they could be. You know what I mean? But put in that work is what it felt like.
Well, yeah. Well, if you're kind of looking kind of what their story was, these guys are from Ohio and they are some of Sami Callihan's quote unquote kids, trained with him. And a lot of people don't like Sami Callihan. because
it's me.
he's, for whatever reason. I like Sami Callihan. The only thing I don't like about Sami Callihan is his tendency to spit quite a bit.
Oop.
That's why I don't like certain wrestlers, because I'm like Penta. Oh God, no. It's kind of gross. And so, you could see and feel that, because these are guys, again, like, nobody thought they're on Impact. Impact is like the graveyard of wrestling shows. Who goes to Impact, right? Well, that's who goes to ROH, but that's another story. But like Impact is like dead. They've had to revive themselves how many times? And then they were there.
Yeah.
And then they really came into their own, I think, when they started to go to PWG, and they were facing some of these like amazing tag teams. The one I'm really sad that we're never going to see was them versus Aussie Open, because Mark Davis shattered his knee right before the show started. It was devastating. And I would have loved to see that. That probably would have been just as good as them versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, I think. But I think that with them is they're so down to earth, and they're so, I want to say, they're real. Like they're homies. Like Wesley, that's my homie. Like God, I've known him longer than Nash Carter. But I would say that for me, it was amazing, because these guys, no one expected that. Like I actually was shocked that WWE picked him up. I was shocked, because I'm like, what? Huh? And I think that's AEW's biggest loss, because honestly, if they wanted to build a really great tag division, because oh my God, I would love to see them versus FTR, and I mean, it would have been phenomenal. And just the kind of things that those guys can do. I mean, it's great. And I think because they are that whole, all of it, it's real. It's not bullshit. All of that, sensitivity and that emotion, that's really them. So I think that when you get a genuine experience like that from a company that you normally don't get that kind of feeling from, that's like indie wrestling right there. Because that's the one thing why, like with WWE, which I'm like, oh, it's always the same old shit. But it feels like it's void of any kind of personality or any kind of emotion. But this was different. And I think that that's why a lot of people were affected by it. And I think that because I cried when they were winning, I cried, and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are like amazing. Like it's amazing to see now that, oh my God, the coolest thing that's going to happen is you probably rarely see a black shirt of theirs, because when they were doing their own merch, they were different colors. So I'm excited about that. I need to order. And I have not bought anything from WWE shop in it maybe like 11 years.
Yeah.
But I'm going to buy that shirt.
And then you can get the Timothy Thatcher shirt too, the gray one.
Yeah. I'm waiting to do some kind of sale. So,
All right. They'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. They seem relatable and real. It seems to me like they feel like guys who, if I saw them and I said, oh my God, you guys are MSK, and I was just like, I just want to hug so bad, they would do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like they seem like that real of like, yeah, we know. And we don't believe it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the impression that I get from them, is that because you always hear the whole thing, oh, you get it done in the ring. You don't believe it till it's in the ring. You don't believe it till it happens. But I feel like there was a very real part of the two of them that truly did not believe it until it happened. That even in the match, you never know if the ref's gonna squirrel over to you and say, "Hey guys, changing plans," because that shit happens mid-match, and the ref's the one's gonna tell you.
Yeah.
And I got a very real impression from the two of them that until that count went to 3 and they said you guys did it, that they kept feeling like something was going to get in the way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing and relatable and celebratory. I just loved it. You know what I mean? It was, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They're feel good story of the year.
Yeah, they're from those outlaw, indie mud shows or whatever, the term is that people love to use, about the indies. And, and basically to have people who really don't belong there, they're there and they're competing against some of the best in the world at what they do. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So, I know personally myself, since they are still PWG tag team champions, they still are technically. I mean, I would have loved it for them to come and, pass the torch, but I know that's not going to happen. But you never know. I don't know. You never know, because Regal shows up to PWG quite often. So I don't know, but it's one of those things, like you see that emotion. And I can even say, because I was there when they won their titles with PWG, that emotion was a completely different emotion than what we saw on that pay-per-view. And that pay-per-view was just, man, I mean, it gives me chills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It not only was it feel good story of the year, I do agree with you. I think that match should be, I don't care what we see for the rest of the year. This match needs to be in that conversation of match of the year, regardless if it gets it or not. It can't not be in the conversation because of all those things. Mm-hmm. Clump, I know we guys showed them a lot. Go ahead. You say what?
That, if I were Uncle Dave, if I were Dave Meltzer, that was a 7-star fucking match. That was better than Kenny and Okada at the Tokyo Dome 1 and 2 and 3. I mean, it was better than that. I mean, this is like something that, if you were able to see it, or if you haven't seen it, you need to see, because it's like, it's that phenomenal. And like, I know some people don't like tag team wrestling, but this would be a reason why you should watch tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I would say this is better than the Bucks and Omega and Page.
Yep.
Clump. We really gushed over MSK there. Was there anything you wanted to add on that?
Nah, you guys nailed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
We did gush.
It's just,
you're
there was
good.
something special about that team. Can you at least agree to that?
I agree with that.
Yep. That's not to downplay the Women's Dusty Cup Classic. I thought that match was good. I thought the four women worked together really well. I'm glad Raquel and Dakota won. In hindsight, at the time, I thought, what? But here we are, and I think it's fine. I wanted to say real quick, Gargano and Kushida, what I really liked about that match was it was not a typical Gargano match. I know Clump's like, you always complain Gargano doesn't win, and then when he wins, you get mad. Yeah,
Bastard.
Right. I thought there was so much more mat work here. It was so impressive. My only issue with Gargano winning is that he always loses. Therefore, Carpe Diem, vis-a-vis, all too forthwith, Gargano can take a loss and it's no big deal. That dude keeps on ticking. He's a 6-year senior. He's going to be here forever. That guy will never graduate. Kushida was on the rise. That guy was on fire. Here he was with the real threat in front of him, couldn't get the job done. What tells me Kushida deserves anything further? I feel like this could stall Kushida in a way that a loss here to Gargano would not stall Gargano. Clump, what say you? He's like...
Yeah, my brain went to mush. I feel like...
It was a good match, though.
It was a good match. I mean, the only things I really griped about this are, I feel like I wanted Kushida to win more than Gargano, though it is nice to see Gargano hold a fucking belt.
True.
But, and boy, did they work well, but the best spots to me were Kushida in control, and I was like, damn, you're good. This is why you should be holding all the belts. Like, the Hurricane run off, or it was a Hurricane run or Frankenstein off the top rope into the fucking hoverboard lock. I was like, okay, you good. And it looked so brutal toward the end. I liked the way that Gargano pulled it into 2 quick spots, and they did make it 2 quick spots that made sense to win. Like, I how good is Kushida at this? He made that stupid ass Gargano DDT thing that I keep forgetting the name of make sense, and
Yeah.
that they tore the ropes and they kept rolling out, so you're kind of seeing it happen. It wasn't like, oh, he randomly rolled out and he's trying to find a spot. It made sense to me, so it worked. But in advance of that, like, it was just such a Kushida match. It does look like, Gargano squeaked out a win. Kushida could win, and I hope Kushida
That's true.
goes past this. But yeah, I mean, dude broke
No.
the arm kick. I was like, that's amazing.
So good. It was so good, man.
He's the
So much of
best.
that was good. Let's see, real quick in the chat. Dexter Loomis chloroforming people made Kuro laugh. He says, I can't say that on Twitch. I guess what LA Knight called Sam Roberts is actually on the official list of banned words for Twitch.
Incel?
So I guess
Yeah.
whoa. Don't say it again.
Oops.
We made an innocent mistake, and now you're just rubbing it in, Clump.
Dang.
Well, if we get in
Yeah.
trouble, it's LA Knight's fault.
No,
It
we
is
don't
Elaine's
actually
fault.
want to be banned for
Bastard.
30 days, so we're not going to say it.
Is that what happens? Is this a 30-day ban? Well, that's not cool.
That's
Oh.
horrible.
If we get banned for 30 days, we're still going to put up the podcast. I'll tell you that right now. So that's why you want to subscribe on podcast. Because if Twitch bans us, we're going to be live on YouTube and we're going to be live on podcast. Ain't nobody stopping this ship. So I guess we'll find
Our
out.
innocent mistake.
It was an innocent mistake. and
It
we'll
was not
probably win.
slander and all that.
All
No,
right.
we were quoting LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And
Oh,
you-
yeah.
You see those banned words? Shoes of a champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Conan, real quick, is going through some health stuff. So if you guys are into thoughts and prayers or well wishes and otherwise, or just projecting of love like a Care Bear from your belly out into the world and the universe, do that too. It looks like he's suffering from some potential respiratory and COVID issues. So we wish Conan the best in that. Justin Time says MSK and Grizzly Young Vets was phenomenal. Johnny Kushida was phenomenal. The whole show was near flawless. And happy birthday to Sergeant Slaughter. Did you say forgot, or was that supposed to be maggot? Happy birthday, Sergeant Slaughter. Maggot! Because that's what he used to say. And Justin says, I really like Johnny Gargano, but I completely agree that Kushida should have won. I don't get why it feels like Kushida's position in NXT is just to have good matches. And I get that too. And I do think that there's a reality that Kushida put out that him having a match with Gargano was a dream match to him. So I could see a conversation happening where Kushida wants to put over Gargano because it's his dream. At the same time, I think that Kushida has more to gain than Gargano has to lose by that outcome.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to agree with Justin. I thought this pay-per-view was near flawless because we've talked about it. I think, if I remember right, it was episode 1 where we had done a review of a takeover. Probably episode 1 or episode 1. If not, may have been episode 1. I typically do not enjoy takeovers the same way everyone else does because I do feel that when every single match has a Gargano and an Adam Cole and a Ciampa and the like in those matches, then you have 15, 16 false finishes before you get to the main event. By the time the main event happens, I'm all out of false finish excitement. You can't have enough false finishes for me to give a shit. I just want a normal finish. So it's always ruined the main event for me, typically. This card, I don't feel had a shitload of false finishes of people kicking out and getting out of finishing maneuvers and stuff. Those things were really still protected here, and I thought that was absolutely amazing. Because I also say that Adam Cole's last shot is the worst finisher in the business because I've never seen it put someone away. And every time he does it once, he goes, what? How did this happen? Because that's what he's like.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it put someone away the first time. It always takes 4 or 5, so it's terrible. So I do think that this one, in and of itself, was paced so well and had the right number that I never lost excitement. And I do think that the time frame has something to do with it. It wasn't super long. But that's what I felt about it overall. Clump or Amanda, if you want to chime in on that, go ahead. Otherwise, go ahead and chime in on the women's three-way match, because this is one more where I thought the match was damn near perfect. However, I really would have liked to see Toni Storm win. Super excited, though, that Toni Storm didn't lose it. I think we're building towards Io versus Toni moving forward. And it was just such a tremendous match. And then that table just collapsed under the slightest graze by Toni Storm. And I was like, relatable. Clump, what'd you think about this?
I'm glad Io maintained. Though, that's because it builds up the, like... I'm glad Io held the belt. I think...
Go ahead, yeah.
They did... By keeping it on Io, we continue to build everyone up. Because I don't know, it feels weird when you have a three-way and a title change, because now they're already building that up of who didn't get pinned, who didn't lose. And everyone here looked strong. They all look like they're in contention to go at this again. You know, and they all, to me, honestly, look like they could go to one of the other shows. And that's a big thing to me, in that, you know, we're seeing at times these weird droughts of female talent. Like, you're the best company for this, but you need more people on your shows. So building up everyone, like, whether or not somebody eggs out a win here, I could see Toni on Raw. You know, I could see Io on SmackDown. Like, hell yeah.
I agree.
So I liked it.
Dude, I can't argue with any of that. Amanda, what do you think?
It was, again, another one that was like really phenomenal. And I mean, with Mercedes Martinez, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, she looks like $1 million. Let me just say. I mean, she's had such a great career, and it would be nice that, you know, if she gets a title, but, you know, she doesn't need it, but it would be nice. But she's another one too, that she can move over to one of the other rosters and go toe to toe. I mean, I actually have always wanted to see her and Natty, because I don't think they did that when she was in Shimmer, and when Natty was in Shimmer for a little time. I don't think that they did that, but that's a match I'd love to see, because
That's true.
you know, these are two women that are like pretty much pillars in, you know, women's wrestling. That I think it's awesome when you those kinds of things. But yeah, I mean, you know, Toni, I like that they're building the program. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know this and I would not. Wasn't Mercedes Martinez much like to the indie circuit what Natty is to the main roster circuit?
Yep, pretty much so. There's, I think, well, if you want to say there's 4 horsemen of indie wrestling, she's one. Lufisto is another one. You know, I mean, they're just, these are women that have been like out there for years and years on the grind, and you know, they never got their opportunity, which again, I'm surprised that Lufisto has not been picked up. I know she said she had retired, but then she had a knee surgery, and now I think she's been wanting to wrestle again. So I mean, that would be a huge pickup for anybody, but if she were to go to NXT, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But remember, she's like 40. I think. Well, Mercedes is old too, but older too. But like, you know, Lufisto's 41, but she can still go like some of those 20-year-olds. So
I got you. Clump, what'd you think about that table collapsing under no pressure?
Obviously not intended. Funny, kind of disappointing, because you're like, man.
Yeah, but I felt like if Toni Storm puts her hand on your shoulder, the same thing's going to happen. You just can collapse into a pile of nothingness.
I mean, this is fair.
Like, I want to disagree, but I'm realistic.
Exactly. I want to make fun of you, but
It was dope. It was really good. And the main event I thought was fucking incredible. Pete Dunne, Finn Balor. It led into the NXT after the show. What?
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. Yo, Pete Dunne and Finn Balor? Was this not maybe the most perfect match that's ever happened? Singles matched? I mean, I felt like this takeover different than any other takeover. I was like, hey, are people going to keep this tape and study it? Because I feel like just watch through the show and figure it out. And I always feel like in a lot of takeovers, I'm like, okay, this is too much that, too much this. But it's okay, I guess, at the beginning. And I know I am not in the majority of NXT fans. I do not like a single Adam Cole Gargano match. I have not liked them in a match together ever. Not even a little bit. Not even like, this is decent. It's always felt like this is trash. I'm going to turn it off now. So I know I'm in a minority there. This match with Balor and Pete Dunne was brutal. It was effective. It was story-driven. A lot of people said it was too slow too early and said it dragged on at first, but the second half was crazy. I personally felt like you don't get to the second half without the first half. You needed the first half to be slow and methodical for the second half of consistent strikes and desperation moves to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda, what do you think?
That was like British Wrestling 101, you know, that slow start.
Yes.
And then you have that big build up. So if people don't like it, then I'm like, well, obviously you don't like British wrestling. So
maybe that's
whatever.
what it is. I got to move to
You're-
England. I'll have cheese and onion sandwiches. Fuck it.
I'm trying to get him to watch
honestly,
NXT
like, I
UK.
mean, for me, I'm huge, you know, like I'm a huge British wrestling fan. I love, you know, gotta love me some British tech
Same.
submission. That's my
Yeah.
shit. But, you know, I mean, I think that's where people are kind of like, you know, about. And I really think that because those two had never faced each other, that you got something a little extra.
Yeah.
Because that's some pretty
Yes.
marquee shit right there, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean not to, you know, to basically talk shit about other people, but I mean, but that was just amazing. That was another level, because I think sometimes there's certain people, I mean, certain combinations that just kind of, if they haven't wrestled before, when they finally do, it works and makes sense, and you're not going to be disappointed. And I think
Justin Time even points that out in the chat. Justin Time just said, remember, it was their first time ever facing each other, so I can agree that the feeling out process going as long as it did made sense. 100%. You don't have people who have a past history of a hidden promotion like you get a lot of times. This was seriously two people who have never quite touched hands before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of it. Keep going. Keep going. Talk about what you thought about it, and then pitch it over to Clump. And if you guys wrap it up and I'm not back yet, then Clump go towards the NXT show real quick and just tell me what you think. But I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, you know,
You
it's kind of, it's kind of like with Thatcher and Ciampa. I mean, I think in the Indies, they maybe crossed paths for a hot minute. But yeah, no, I mean, same thing, because that's another person who's slow build. So
Kind of like Marcia's colon, you know, just slow build and then an explosion.
Oh my.
But it works so well. Like, honestly, unlike Marcia's colon, where it works so well here, these build-ups and we see these moments, you know, we can get these dream matches we never thought of, and I fucking love it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is there one that you can think of, Clump, at least with the NXT, that you would love to see that maybe people haven't seen? It could be men, it could be women.
I'd really love to see Bronson Reed with, you know, honestly, with Balor.
Really?
I think it would be really interesting because Balor can work with big powerhouse guys, and Bronson is freakishly athletic. They haven't had time together. It's one that's kind of undersung to me, but I think it'd be a fantastic match. I think, you know, putting him him going past the U.S. title and going to, or the North American title and going for the main title against Balor, that could be really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Balor could make Bronson Reed look like Brock Lesnar.
no.
Your colon makes things look terrible.
Oh, dope. Yeah.
It'd be great.
Or bladder.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with you, Clump. That's a really good one. I think for me, if there's really anything now, I mean, I would. Gosh, I mean, shit, it's hard to say. Because, I mean, there's so many things that I'd love to see Bronson Reed do. There's so many things that I'd love to see Cameron Grimes do. And there's so many things that I'd love to see Thatcher do. So it's like, it's hard to kind of pinpoint that. So
we won't dive in on every segment of NXT, but I will say this. All that in mind is a huge point to how well NXT has turned around and turned their characters into stories themselves. Like, they went from being such a seemingly vapid space of just great matches and absolutely no story to the way they promoted this NXT, because I get the emails every fucking day for whatever show's coming up. This one said, Kyle O'Reilly responds to Adam Cole. The Dusty Cup winners get to speak on it. It said... What was the other one? They announced one match in 4 segments, is what I'm basically getting at. Typically, it's 4 or 5 matches and maybe a segment. Oh, this person's going to be interviewed, and here's a bunch of matches. Here's one match and a whole bunch of segments. We didn't know what matches we were getting going into NXT, and I think that it's amazing to see it be all of these stories moving forward. The Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff story moving forward is fantastic. Shotzi and Ember not collapsing as a tag team and moving forward is awesome. We talked about it earlier. Casey and Caden continuing their storyline with Xia Li. And Xia Li is not one of the top 5 most compelling things in all of NXT right now, then I don't know what you're watching. The Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax face-off with Dakota and Raquel. And Dakota getting in Shayna's face being like, hey, Raquel, you might not know these dweebs because they came here before you. Let me break them down to you, and talked mad shit about each one of them before Shayna grabs the mic and be like, typical Dakota, cowering in fear. And I was like, what? She just stood here in your face and told you was a bitch. And you're talking about how she's a coward? What the fuck just happened? Guys, what do you think about this NXT? I don't think there's anything we need to talk about segment by segment. The big talk of it was at the end of the episode, Brainbuster by Adam Cole onto Kyle O'Reilly onto the steps ended in a stretcher job that happened off TV but on social media via the fans who were there, and people were freaking the fuck out. And eventually it came out that, hey, this is part of the show. It's part of the segment. It was a stretcher job. But a lot of people were freaking out.
So, and
go ahead.
Fucking great selling by Kyle O'Reilly, because, a lot of people were really thinking like, oh, damn. And initially I wanted to be like, man, that's too far. But then I'm like, no, I'm cool with that. Because they did everything right to make it scary you and think about it. But then you're like, oh, right, like, this is true, because obviously Adam Cole ain't gonna say shit if Kyle's like got a seizure and going to the hospital. That or Jesus, Adam Cole. Yeah.
I agree, dude. I think people thought they went too far, and I think that, hey, literally a stretcher job is the oldest gimmick in the book. That was the entire career of Andy Kaufman, was based off of one fucking stretcher job. So, fuck you all if you guys were flipping out. Now, I'll tell you this. I didn't know one way or the other if it was real or not, and I had the hunch that it probably was real because it was pretty gnarly. Producer lady was the one being like, I don't know if this is a storyline. I was like, what? How could you say that? She's like, because I'm not stupid. I was like, what? And she's like, you dumb piece of shit. I was like, let's watch Doom Patrol.
Oh, Doom Patrol? We need to just do... Yeah. Can we do a Doom Patrol podcast?
Dude, that'd be good, actually. We should do a breakdown of Doom Patrol.
I'm down.
But... It was really good. Let's see. Justin Time says, hope Dakota and Raquel beat Shayna and Nia with the story between Shayna and Dakota. Having Dakota finally stick it to Shayna would be great, and I agree to that. What do you guys think about this? I think, and I don't think I'm alone in this, obviously, this isn't groundbreaking, but we've been talking about it for a while, that the NXT champions the women's tag team champions should be NXT talent because they're supposed to go to every show, and an NXT talent would do that more so. Every time those belts end up on Raw, they stay on Raw. Every time they end up on Bayley and Sasha, they go to all shows. And I think something's up with that. I think if you put them on NXT, you get a little more exposure. I don't know that you're going to really see a boost in ratings at all. I'm not saying that at all. But I would be interested in seeing a Dakota and Raquel match against, like, Amanda and Dana. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that, Clump? Or Amanda? Let's go to Amanda and then Clump.
You know, I mean, I think it's probably the best idea to have your women's tag champs come from NXT, because then you can put either, like in this case, 2 women who clearly could go up to the main roster, and this is kind of that exposure that they'll have, and then it kind of gives whoever kind of gets them kind of started with a feeling of, okay, where could they possibly end up, once whatever is done. And I think that that's a really great way to, kind of connect the dots. So with everything,
I think it'd be a cool way to call up a tag team as well. Like if the NXT talent won it and are defending it on Raw and SmackDown, and as their tag team champions suddenly get called up, but then also lose the titles in a similar fashion, I think it'd be a really cool way to introduce them across the brand. Clump, what do you think about that idea? And also, how perfect is MSK with Beth Phoenix?
Yeah, I like just how awkward it was with them, but it was like not like any AEW segment awkward. Like, oh, this is deliberate. Yeah. But
it was also so weirdly perfect. Like, it was better than any Street Profits promo together with anybody. It was better than I mean, it's hard to say, but I feel like that I felt the naturalness between them much more like I felt like with like a New Day or someone or even more so than a Miz and Morrison. Like their chemistry together, even with Beth included, was just fucking outstanding.
Yeah, that was great. It was really great. It was like, man, they just were having a good old time, and it just was kind of like, and it was done that I think if other people had done it, you could tell that there was some distraction in the back. What they were doing wasn't distracting at all from what was going on. So I liked that aspect of it too. Yeah, and it was funny standalone, or if you like kind of see it in the background where they're I think it was done very, very well.
I agree. It's one of those things where once you see it and you're loving it, but it wasn't like, let's stand in the way first, as you see a lot of times.
You know what I love?
Go ahead.
Can we talk about Cameron Grimes?
Okay. Music video.
The moon. Okay. Now, I saw the video originally a couple days ago on Twitter. I don't know how I saw it, but no, actually, because one of my friends.
You just said it was on Twitter.
Well, yeah, no, but I didn't know how I got to see it, but now I remembered.
But it's on Twitter. That's how you saw it.
Yeah, but on my timeline. Oh my God!
All right, fine. Go ahead.
But you know what I mean. But yeah, no, whatever that song is, that Kid Rock sounding song about Cameron.
No,
Grimes,
that's
it's amazing.
Josiah Williams.
What?
It's Josiah Williams wrote that for him.
Yeah, he's Hustle and Flow.
It's perfect.
Yeah, Wrestle and Flow wrote that for him, dude.
Whoa. Okay, he needs to use it as entrance music. That shit is amazing. Let me tell you, I think that little vignette and that little promo, it just it beyond works for me. I mean, it just is so funny because it's just enough over the top and campy to be like, God, this is stupid, but no, it draws you in. Like
100%.
And so it'll be very interesting to see what happens with him. But I think it was hilarious. I love it. I'd love to see it.
Clump, what do you think about Cameron Grimes? To the moon.
Just that, the best. the best segment. Like, okay, this is
Yeah.
amazing. I loved
What
the
I
amount
loved-
of old
Go ahead.
Lamborghinis.
Yes.
The like, I was like, this isn't just
Mm-hmm.
one shitty old Lamborghini. There's a lot of shitty old Lamborghinis here.
And he broke it.
And I just kept thinking of like last week. I was like, yep, this lines up with Marsh's theory.
This was the best part of the whole thing to me, was that last week you're like, why the fuck would he buy a 10-year-old fucking luxury car? And I was like, because I would buy a Dodge Viper. And you just went, oh. And then the next day you send me a video, which we posted on our Twitter at WOTR the show, alongside with our podcast. And I was like, if you like the show, check out this companion piece. And it was the review of the Dodge Viper you had sent me.
Regular car reviews,
We're-
the best YouTube channel.
So good, with one of my favorite lines of, I'm afraid of the Dodge Viper. And I think that, like, oh fuck, what was it that he said? He said he's scared of the Dodge Viper, but he was proud of that. Like,
Yeah.
I am proud to be afraid of the Dodge Viper. It's like, what?
That
And
doesn't
as he
make
breaks
sense.
down this thing, and he's like, these chrome rims are actually spray painted plastic. I was like, what? And like everything about it. So he breaks it down. It's on our Twitter. Find it. We'll tweet it out again. But that breakdown
Everything
of the Dodge
that
Viper.
he does, yeah.
Yeah. The way he breaks down the Dodge Viper, in consideration with the way that I said, if I came upon a shitload of money, I'm buying a Dodge Viper. And Clump's response to, oh, I guess stupid people do use money in funny ways, all came together in the most perfect synchronicity that I think could have happened any other way. There was no way for me to know all that. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there was absolutely a way for me to know all that, and that would be to be an educated person, which I am not. So it was so good, and I loved it, and I loved that Clump was like, hey, just so you know, quick video for you, and I'm watching it like, this is unbelievable. Like,
I still gotta send you
this
the one where
proves
it's
my
like he-
point.
Yeah, he just sings Bobby Roode's theme. I was like, this is great. He's
100%.
know,
And I was like,
it'll come-
this not only proves my point, it equally proves Clump's point. Like, it was amazing.
and the way you
Couldn't
just
believe
phrased it, like, yes, exactly what like the dumb people spend money in funny ways. Like, believe me, this has been my life in many ways, and my you know the shaking head of my father is pretty much my, like, if there was a picture that would like encapsulate my finances, it's my dad just like looking at me and shaking his head.
Yes. Yeah. I can't imagine if someone got a good look at everything I spent money on the past year, that it wouldn't be met with just a dead stare of, you came to me to know what? Like, what do you not see on your own? You know what I mean? Like, I was looking for insight. Were you? Justin Time
Well,
says, Cameron Grimes is reminding me so much of when Jamie Noble and Nydia inherited money from a relative that passed away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nydia walking down to the ring blind with a fur coat. Or being drugged down the ring blind in a fur coat by Jamie Noble.
Hell yeah.
Now, it will come full circle. Since he wrecked the Lamborghini, I will die laughing if he shows up with a Dodge Viper.
I will fucking love it.
That
He will.
Yeah.
It is.
If
If Grimes shows up with a Viper, I'll get a Cameron Grimes tattoo.
What? No.
Wait, what kind of
What?
Cameron Grimes tattoo?
Too far. Too far.
Dude, a full moon with like a top hat.
No.
That actually is a good Cameron Grimes tattoo.
Yeah, that is good.
Not
That's
bad-
actually a
not a
good
bad
shirt too.
I
That would
don't
be a
like
good
this.
shirt.
Moon with a
I don't
Cameron
like
Grimes
this wager. You
Yeah.
don't know who's listening.
WWE hired me. I'm not great at
Yeah.
drawing, but I can throw out ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get it. Bruce Pritchard's watching. Brucey, can you hear me?
Blocked.
Guys, I know that
And
we
please
didn't break
don't
down
let it be a black
NXT as much
shirt.
as we wanted to. What was that?
Please don't let it be a black shirt. Come on. People like color.
We could do a gray one.
Brown. No, brown.
Brown.
He wore a fucking brown suit out. Brown.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That'd be gross and be great. I'm going to
Plus,
draw something up.
as you, yeah, when you wash it, it's gonna just get kind of shittier and shittier. Yeah,
Mhm.
brown.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, half my shirts are brown. Relax with that.
All of my underwear are brown. And my socks when I wash them together.
Oh my.
Oh.
Oh my.
I love it. I love it. Guys, was there anything you thought we definitely missed about NXT?
No.
I think we did about as well as we're gonna do tonight. I know we went too long on literally every topic we started on, but I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what I love about doing this show. I love, at the end of the day, getting with a couple of friends, a couple of drinking buddies, a couple of wrestling buddies, and just talking about dumb, funny wrestling and what we love about it most for hours until we realize, hey, we've done this way too long.
Yeah.
And we got to call it up. We got to call a shop.
Yeah.
Clump, is there anything you wanted to throw in there before we close up?
We just need to figure out a way to get paid to do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the greatest thing we've ever done.
Yeah. If it can-
Amanda, anything that you want to throw in there before we do
Yeah.
last call?
Yeah, I want a special shout out right now. Happy birthday to Ricky Starks on Sunday. It's gonna be 31.
No!
Cheers. So cheers.
Cheers and a happy birthday to Ricky Starks. Slick Rick.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So,
man.
yep. I wanted to give him a special shout out.
He's a hell of a workhorse, and I'll tell you this. NWA figured out how to capitalize that on one solid weekend, but no company has figured out how to capitalize that long term, and that is their loss so far, because the one thing that I learned from one weekend at NWA tapings is there's nobody in that building willing to work as hard, as consistently as Ricky Starks. Yeah, they just need to figure it out and lean on them, and they're not doing it because they're blinded by other stupid things. So cheers and happy birthday to Ricky Starks. I hope we see you go to the moon.
I wish AEW sometimes would remember that. Like, remember why, Tony needs to remember sometimes why he immediately signed Ricky Starks. He needs to remember that. And I think we're forgetting that now because, he's got to get hit with a bat by Sting again. And then he's nowhere in the TNT title hunt anymore. So,
Tony got real comfortable knowing that he signed him, and he goes, okay, that's locked in. That's good. I can come back to that later. But I think a character and a worker and a workhorse like a Ricky Starks needs a little bit of watering and a little bit of TV time. And that dude, look, man, if you think that the elite's bringing in all your viewership, wait till you lock in on a guy like Ricky.
Oh no, that's why I watch.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. That's why I watch. So
100%.
Yeah.
Justin Times is his best. It's only episode 1, but it's still good shit. So happy birthday to Ricky Starks. Happy birthday to us all. One and all, as Tiny Tim says. Clump.
Happy birthday,
Clump.
one and all.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
There's nothing we're missing, right? Anything from either one of you that we need to touch ground on before we do last call? I do feel bad we didn't dig in as much as I wanted to on NXT, but at the end of the day, we talked about a lot of good stuff, and we put over Natalya Neidhart for the good part of an hour. And you know what? That's time well spent in my book.
Yes, she deserves it.
And we did a lot on Takeover, which that deserved that because that was such a phenomenal pay-per-view.
It's easily in my top 3 best takeovers of all time, if not my favorite. So I'd have to go back and look, but as of right now, top 3.
I would also add that I'm now making, producer lady here, I'm making Marsh watch some NXT UK now that he has some time, and he's been enjoying it. So, yeah, I'm
big
excited.
fan of Eddie Dennis.
Oh, you guys.
Yo, NXT UK commentary is legit, dude.
I love it. I love it so much. I was the only person who is regularly watching NXT UK because I just think it's only 1 hour. It flies by. The matches are all good. Everyone looks like they could actually beat someone up in a bar. Like,
Yep.
I am so down for NXT UK. I'm super excited about them. And last week, their commentary was just, I don't know if it was like an inside game they were doing, but they were saying this one talent, his name over and over. Like,
Dude.
he must have said it 50 times in the match.
They say Eddie Dennis the way I say Matt Brown. Like it's one word. Eddie Dennis. Eddie Dennis. Every other character in those shows, including Flash Morgan Webster, would be called Flash or Morgan or Webster. But if it's Eddie Dennis, you're goddamn right you're going to hear Eddie Dennis on commentary. Eddie Dennis! Kick out! Kick out by Eddie Dennis! All I'm saying
Yeah.
is it just rolls.
If
It rolls
it-
like Matt Brown.
Yeah, if it was a drinking game, we would have been drunk in the first, like, 15 minutes.
100%. You got Maiko how do you say her last name? Maiko is about to go up against Kylie Ray in like 2 weeks. We had a really cool match. Santamora, you have this past week we had Aaliyah James against Danny Luna, which was fantastic. Really young talent. I feel like half of NXT UK is 20 years or younger, and that's exciting. But NXT UK is phenomenal. NXT is phenomenal. I'm glad you two are here to talk me through the weird shit I see on the internet wrestling community that I think could be better, and to celebrate Natty Neidhart and her contributions the way that you do. Guys, is there anything we're missing before we do last call?
Oh, well, Cody's having a girl.
Oh, yeah. Cody did a gender reveal. I'm going to tell you this right now. I did not go to my sister's gender reveal any of the times.
Mhm.
I don't give a shit what baby you're having. Once, and I'm going to say this is as nice as I get about it. Once I hear you're having a baby, that's my peak excitement. Baby. Once you tell me boy or girl, it does not move. Okay? Baby type. It moves lateral. Clump,
What if I
were you
say
excited to
octopus?
see? You say octopus?
Yeah, what if I say
Elevation.
octopus? Yeah. Whoa!
I go, I'm listening. And I want to see an ultrasound. You tell me boy, I don't want to see an ultrasound. I don't give a shit. I heard baby, I'm done. You say octopus, I said, I want to see those pictures.
Yeah. What if I was like, hey, gender reveal party, Eric's cooking? Then possibly more excitement because I know
Yes.
cook okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you say baby, I go, okay, cool. You go pork chop, I go, listening.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
No,
Amanda, were you
I-
excited about that gender? Oh, Clump, what'd you think about that?
I just wanted to tell you both, I didn't forget about this. I was that not wanting to talk about it. So thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
I
No
thought we cleared it. You truly
Yes.
are a heel for the night.
problem. I love
He'll
it.
move.
I was
Look,
about to be like,
He'll move.
yes.
He'll move.
Yeah. Look, bottom line, congratulations. You're having a baby. It's going to be a baby girl. Wonderful news. But I don't give a shit about whose baby's what baby.
I have bets. I'll put bets out there. Like the baby's either going to be named Dream or Destiny.
Oh.
Destiny.
Destiny.
Oh.
If not,
Can't wait to see this shit play out.
He'll move.
and we're naming it
Right.
Destiny. You have my
Ah.
interest now, Cody. Good job.
This might
Yeah, good job.
this might be the only
I
storyline
don't
I'm
know why. I
interested
have a
in
feeling,
AEW.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh.
Best storyline of all of AEW. What's that baby going to get named, though, yo?
Yo.
Talking about
Yo.
WrestleMania season. I want to know about baby season. What are you naming that baby, dude?
Yeah, what do
You
you, name the
guys-
baby?
Fucking vain.
Is her onesie
Look.
like gonna be like a singlet that matches like her mommy's like ring gear
Maybe.
when she walks daddy out?
I did think it was another shoehorn moment at the end of the day. But guys, thank you for coming
Do you think she's
through.
gonna get her dad's neck tattoo?
No.
Oh, she'll come out with a neck
That's-
tattoo for sure. It's gonna be day one.
No, let her
Birthmark
come
on the
out with
neck.
a Birthmark, but not a no. That tattoo is gross.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Do you think she's gonna have those like weird bags on their eyes that the Runnels get? Like I'm not saying in a
They
shitty
get 'em.
way. Yeah.
They get them.
Probably.
Have you people never sleep?
Funky like a monkey. Guys,
Yeah, probably.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for having a drink. Thank you for pulling up a stool. Place to sit and have a drink with us, with your drinking buddies, your wrestling buddies. We are at WOTR The Show, Wrestling on the Rocks at Instagram, wrestlingontherocks.com. Click on the links, click on the contacts. That's where you're going to find all of our information. Amanda, tell people where they can find you one more time.
You can find me at Ms. Amanda Jane at either Instagram or on Twitter.
Clump, where can people find you?
You could find me at Crybaby Clump on Twitter. Then, though, again, as I've said multiple times, don't know the password, don't know the account. You can find a person in control of my account, shilling fake Ray-Bans, fake Rolexes, fantastic person. But, you know, all the same, they also promote us occasionally. So, yeah, follow
And
them.
the one place we know that they're not going to find you and they're not going to find us is fucking Delaware. Guys,
Yes.
I'm at Ref Marsh. We
Never.
are Wrestling on the Rocks, and that's last call. Cheers.
Fuck you, Wilmington.
What's in Delaware?
Wilmington.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.